We set out to buy an 80.
Jeremy and I bought an Illinois farm 2 years ago.
80
we were looking
like,
for an 80 together.
For like 500 at a max.
500,000.
Yeah.
So that was our budget. We're looking for 80 acres for $500,000.
Yep, just for the two of us. You know, just to get a foot in the door in Illinois.
Yeah.
We came out of there with a 144 for damn near $1 million.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Deer Grow.
Man, we've been using Deer Grow products for a long time. The Plot Start and Plot Boost, more recently Plot Till. Now we've got 3 new liquid fertilizers that have been put in the mix that will cover everything we could want for a food plot program.
It's huge, man. The more food plotting we do, it's like, man, the liquids just make sense. Like whether it's herbicides or the Plot Start and Plot Boost, and now the fertilizers getting mixed in. It's like, man, I can combine all of those in certain cases and do less passes for more results.
I mean, it's all about efficiency. I mean, like you said, less passes. If you're out there treating your beans with glyphosate in the summertime, you can mix in this fertilizer, do that all at once. You have the boost in there that helps the metabolism. It's all about efficiency when we're talking about food plots. And really the big difference on these liquid fertilizers is you're bypassing some of these soil limitations, pH limitations, the soil type. In a lot of cases, we talk about dry fertilizers only being available for 17% of what you put down in the first year. These liquid fertilizers straight into the plant are 90% available in the first year. Huge difference in what you're going to see in growth.
It's huge. And so right now you can use code HUNTR15 for 15% off any of the Deer Grow products on their website. And as always,
better food plots, bigger deer. And we're back.
Hey,
HUNTR Podcast, episode 247.
Yeah,
as
buddy.
Nick continues to keep us in line from South Carolina.
Thank you, Nick.
I talked to Nick today.
Yeah, dude, I talk to him like every other day.
I just don't want Nick to feel like he's on his own little island, because he's not. Not on his island.
He's living it up. It's probably like freaking almost in the 80s down there
I'm
now.
sure he's just beaching it.
Yeah.
Beaching it.
So, hey, wherever you guys are listening to us from, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, that's where we drop these episodes every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you've written us on Instagram DM or the website, those are the two that we check the most frequently. Bear with us. Doing our best to get back to those whenever we can.
Getting pretty good.
We got some stuff on the website, and I've been diligently working with the help of
new designs,
AI, to come out with some new stuff here for you guys.
Artificial intelligence.
So excited about some of the new designs, and we'll have some new merch for you guys at some point this year. So,
yeah.
Other than that, here we go.
Here we go. April 17th that we were recording this.
Isn't it wild, man?
It's fast, man.
I feel like I realized it this morning when we set closings that are out like, a month, 2 months, 3 months. And I'm like, it seems like a long way out at the time. And then all of a sudden it's like,
it's coming fast.
It's here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, before we know it, it's going to be May in a couple weeks here. And then, really it's that end of June time frame where I'm like, all right, like the reality is coming in, because most of the work from the spring and summer has been done at that point.
At that point. Yeah. But dude, I'm busy. I'm like coordinating master right now. I'm like calling co-ops, ordering chemical, like touching base with contractors. Like we're basically like running remote businesses at our properties, trying to get, we are literally, but also just trying to get the properties taken care of, and from 10 hours away in some cases.
Yeah. I mean, I binged Ohio Tuesday. I woke up at 2:30, left at 3, got back at.
That's early.
Got
2:30?
6.
Good for you.
I just couldn't sleep. I was like, all the things in. It was like, I got to see clover. I had to meet soybean guy. I had to unload a bunch of wood. Madison came down, and we kind of went through where the timber is here 2 years later. So, yeah, but from, I got there at 6:30. So, like, right at daybreak, didn't hear any turkeys. So I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. And then.
Were you going to hunt if you.
It wasn't open. No. I just wanted to get there at daybreak to see. There was a big storm that passed through, so I think they had them all roughed up the night before. But I got there at 6:30, so from 6:30 until about 2:30, I left. And I got everything on my list done, which is a first, honestly.
I think lack of progress is the sole source of my stress, if there is any. And so when you can have a productive, like it can, even if it's just a couple hours where it's like, finally, I got in touch with a few of those people I've been meaning to, or knocked a few of those things out. I'm like, today was a good day.
Yeah, just called the local property valuation administration just for a map. And she's like, oh, I can just email that to you for the survey. And I'm like, Great.
Don't you feel silly on the backside of it being like, I've been stressing about that for weeks and I just took one phone call and it's done.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to go there on a weekday and it's out of state, and I don't. She's just emailing it to me. So I'm done.
Very nice.
Yeah, so, just kind of head down, grinding it through.
We killed a bird.
Yeah, you did.
Killed a bird.
On public.
On public.
Is that the first thing you've ever killed on public?
No, I shot that giant in North Dakota on public.
Oh, that's right.
I've shot a bunch of bull elk, a couple bull elk on public. And,
Yep.
As far as whitetail, though, I'm going to say that's probably the first turkey I've shot on public, but I haven't shot. I didn't shoot it, actually. It was a youth. Jordan was his name.
Yep.
That was with us for
you
that.
said pretty capable, like 17-year-old.
Yeah. He's like in his
so that made it nicer.
How
many did you guys kill total?
5.
Yeah. 4 on the farm or just surrounding properties?
4 right on or around the farm.
Yep.
Most of those were the first morning, and I think we were the only guys that killed the second morning. It was like 10:45.
Wow.
It was a Jake, in fairness, not that it takes away from it, but I was like, dude, anything that this kid wants to shoot it.
Was it goblin or just?
Yeah.
Really?
My dad, he's not wrong, but he just assumes that I'm like the most capable of finding a place, I guess. And so like, I don't get any of the spots.
Yeah. Nothing's teed up.
He puts everybody in the spots. There's 11 other groups. And so he's like, yeah, no, you'll figure it out. I'll start on one of Jed's. And I'm like, there's no birds over there. Like, so we started there the first morning. We did actually call in a Jake over there, and we wasn't ready to shoot it. And I'm like, all right. We actually hunted that evening, which, we're just basically
evening
walking.
birds.
It's tough. But that night, I was like, let's bail. Let's run down to some of this public I've never been on before. I've never been around here. And it's drastically different country, big hill country compared to my farm. And first spot we go to, got one fired up right at the roost there. And I was like, dude, this is the spot. It's a nice little 100, between 100 and 200 acre piece. And I was like, let's start here tomorrow morning. But then still that night, we went and found one more goblin way out on a ridge. I'm like, and we could tell. I was like, he sounds like a Jake. Sounds a little juvenile, you know? So I was like, that's plan B, So we went and we started plan A, and freaking there's birds everywhere. We had like 5 or 6 different birds firing up that morning. We found this cool old like Civil War fort, like the rocks stacked around. And so we hid in there. I've never seen a place so tore up with turkey scratching and stuff. It was like crazy. And just like they do, I don't even know why we call. Like they just get down and like go the opposite direction. So that didn't work out for whatever reason. So we went to plan B. It's textbook. Walked all the way out this ridge, about a mile, one way. At the top of the thing, down in the bottom. And so we're like, we can go left or right. And they have these nice little fields tucked in like halfway meeting points. I was like, we think he's going left.
Yeah.
We knew it was the bird that we roosted the night before. So we went left, went down to this field, called for 45 minutes. Off and on, and he was a little bit of back and forth, took him some time. And then finally he came in.
Did you have a decoy?
Yeah. He hung up right on the edge of the field, and Jordan actually had to turn. I saw him turn, and I filmed it. I can show it to you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we got one.
Run and gunning, man. Like if I'm in a turkey hunt, that's the way to do it. Like,
I can't sit for very long.
Yeah. It's fun that way, and it's more exciting, and just making moves and getting them around them. And I'm going to take the kids. We're leaving for Kentucky tomorrow morning. So Kentucky's open. We'll probably go on Saturday and Sunday morning.
Cool.
So just out at the farm, and I've seen some birds on camera out there, not a ton, but I also don't have a ton of cameras running. So
I told you the other day I ran into like 3 different groups on public. There were a lot of people. Yeah. And they all were like, do you have a podcast? I'm like, yeah.
No, I don't.
It's just funny. It's kind of embarrassing when you got people with you, and it's just like, yeah. And
they like, what?
Yeah. Anyways.
That's funny. Yeah, it's kind of, it's cool to start running into people and having conversations, but at the same time, like I tell people all the time, like when I get somebody that's like, hey, I drove by your farm, it looks really cool. I'm like,
yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
No. So anyways, we got a cool guest today. Got Jeff Danker on from BuckVentures.
Heck yeah.
We've been talking back and forth with Jeff and Chancey and those guys, and trying to coordinate this. And, I think that, Jeff's style and that Oklahoma and Kansas kind of atmosphere has been really cool to watch. And those guys have a giant, pro staff side of things as well. Hoyt guys is on top of that. So, I saw Jeff at NWTF. We were talking in the Realtree booth with Tyler and those guys. And I was like, dude, we should definitely get you on and have some good conversations about kind of, where things are going. And, he's got a ton of experience in that Kansas, Oklahoma area, especially too. And, what's that look like? It seems like one state's really up and going and the other state is kind of coming back down to earth. So it'd be cool to pick Jeff's brain on that stuff and just kind of shoot the shit.
Right on. Let's do it.
All right, Jeff, we got you, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, buddy. Well, we appreciate you taking some time this morning to jump on here and just, give a little talk, a little conversation back and forth, and who knows what rabbit holes we dive down by the end of this thing.
Well, that's right up my alley.
Well, Jeff, where are you based out of right now?
So I am in, the best way to put it is right in between Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Okay. I-44 connects those, and we're literally in a town called Chandler. We're right off the interstate. It's actually where I grew up. My dad has had a roofing company here now for 48 years. And so it's home for sure.
That's cool, man. So that's pretty awesome to be able to set up shop in kind of the hometown area.
Yeah, it's it's kind of weird. I've seen many times on Facebook or something. There'll be back in the day we always had BuckVentures on the side of the trucks or whatever, and someone would say, we'd see on Facebook, say, "Hey man, wonder what BuckVentures is doing in Chandler." I'm like, we live here, dude.
We live here, man. This is home. They're like, I always keep seeing it parked in front of this house. It must be really good back there. No, that's home.
I know, right? Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I've since taken all the logos. Back in the day, we had all that. Now I just try to drive old junker out to the farms.
Isn't that funny, man? I remember like seeing, whether it was like an HS truck or whatever, like back in the day, and then even when we worked for Whitetail, several years ago. And then it was like, man, people just started scouting my truck, and looking. And so now it's like, it's as clean as can be. I don't want any attention on that thing.
Well, the truth of the matter is I just never forget. Remember the primetime trucks, HS and Alex Rutledge and all them. I mean, it was just, even to be around one of those trucks when, before I got started and all that, it was so cool to me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, man, these guys are. And, then as you get into it, you start realizing just how small of a world it is. And then all of a sudden, you don't want people knowing where you're at. You start, like I said, I think I was a big extrovert, whatever, and kind of become an introvert now. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. I kind of like being by myself, and especially as we're hunting a big deer or whatever, that's just kind of my style, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you kind of have to. I mean, at the end of the day, there aren't that many of these big ones out there. And so, the way that just observation is anymore from social media and just communication via text messaging on the phone and stuff, like all of these things, if you get spotlighted out there, essentially, like they're on you. They know where you're at, and they know that.
Well, dude, guys can pick up on the subtlest things. Like you see it even just most recently. That guy in Pennsylvania found those 194 inch sheds. I had like 3 different people write us and be like, "I know exactly where that's at. We're hunting that deer now."
That's crazy.
And all it was like guy did not even a pan, but it was just him standing in the woods, and they're like, "We know where that's at."
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I always took the attitude of, I just felt like the good Lord let me have this deal. And I always thought to myself, and I told all my guys, like, look, we're not going to cheat the fans. We're just going to be open. And so we were for many years, but where it got me is it just got to be almost crooked. I mean, there was just things going on that, they're just cheating the system anyway. I mean, it felt like to me, they were just using us to find them, know where they're at, whatever. And so recently I just quit, with my pictures and everything until later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of where I had to do. And we still share it. It's just after the fact.
Well, no, I mean, I think it kind of sucks that it gets to that point. But I mean, I've run into people here even on, Pennsylvania public, like in the big woods, and the reality is that they know that I'm not wasting my time in an area where there's not a big deer. So if they see me and they see me out there scouting, like, they probably know that there's something in that area worth being in there for.
Well, maybe not. I mean, it's not the greatest strategy, to be honest, because like depending on who you're following, I guess. But it's like, you know what I mean? I'm checking areas out all the time. Like if somebody was scouting my truck, it's like, yeah, I was just shooting a Jake on public this past weekend. You know what I mean? Great. You know?
Yeah. Well, I did. You guys both shot freaking megas in Iowa, looked like last year.
Yeah, Jared's got his on the table.
I brought them today because we're doing some stuff here after. Yeah. So I'll show them.
Gosh darn.
Yeah, that's a dinosaur.
Gosh darn, dude. That just did it for me right now. It made me go, okay, I got to
did
get
it
busy.
for us, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, so there was a great one in that, you know, we had worked networks beforehand in Iowa to get access, and we had other places. We had some leases that we kind of had scouted in August, had been out there, but even that, we were coming off a permission property in the middle of western Iowa, like nobody around, and here comes this side-by-side driving down the road, and we're sitting at the truck, and the guy doesn't even stop the side-by-side, and he said,
"You just hear HUNTR Podcast."
Yeah, HUNTR Podcast guys, huh? And we're like, what? Like, there's nobody around. We haven't seen anybody like all day. Yeah. It's our first interaction.
Multiple guys.
That's
the one guy, we end up at his cabin drinking bourbon.
Yeah.
You know, and we just made all kind of friends out there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, they just, you know, that is where society's at now, is like, just because you see it and you engage with it so much, like, you know, it's hard to keep secrets anymore on any of this stuff. And that's the, you know, again, I say that not in a bad way. Like, you don't want to be in that position where you're trying to hide stuff. But I mean, if you're after a big deer, there's very few and far between. And so, yeah, you kind of want to be selfish to it a bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, I think for me, the older I've gotten, you know, 53 years old now, I've been doing it a long time. And I think I got a little bit different perspective that my old self was. I mean, just to, you know, I always preach to myself to learn how to enjoy the journey, right? And I think it was words back in the day where, you know, telling myself to see the sunrise, to see the sunset, and not get caught up in just that success. But that was who I was. But now, literally, that I'm older, you know, it's kind of like I saw a meme for golf. It said, you know, a bad attitude is worse than a bad golf swing. And that to me is kind of what I take for myself, is like, Jeff, you know, gosh, I get to do this, whatever. Don't get caught up in, you know, something that upsets me out there, or, you know, somebody's on my fence line, or, you know what I mean? And I just, I can do that better now. I mean, before I would get, you know, fighting mad, and, you know, you're almost playing defense with your deer. And, you know, and then I caught myself a long time ago, guys, calling them my deer.
Oh, yeah.
And that's never the case. I mean, they're wild deer. And yeah, maybe I put in more time, I put in more money, whatever it might be. But, you know, I've lost a lot of deer to the neighbor, and you know, I try to congratulate them. I mean, heck, you know, they're out there hunting. As long as they're hunting right, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a big one. I mean, I just turned 41. So I'm teetering at that age. One, I've got the kids hunting, so there's a lot of time, and my 9 and 13-year-old out hunting, you know. But I enjoy the journey of growing deer and watching them go. And ultimately, even if the neighbor kills them, for most of these deer, I just want to know what happened, right? Like, there's nothing that keeps me up worse at night than the not knowing of, like, that buck just disappeared, and, like, nobody knows, nobody said anything. I have no evidence that he's dead or alive. Like, in concluding those stories, to me, is sometimes, you know, the biggest thing that I look for especially at the end of a year.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think that is me. It's not even about the kill as much. I mean, obviously I enjoy that, but it's about, I mean, I've shot some deer, guys, that I literally, it wasn't for the camera. I had mixed emotions. I mean, this buck right here behind me, this lucky deer, I hunted him for a couple of years, and when I finally killed him, I didn't even know the farm lost its identity. Yeah. I mean, you know, it was then I didn't want to go back to the dang farm. I mean, it was real weird, but I love that more than anything. Of probably a lot like you guys is seeing it, and almost these deer become part of you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I lost one a few years ago. I called Windmill. I mean, I just got lucky and found this deer out in the middle of nowhere, and just to see how this whitetail reacted out in the sand dunes, and actually I put the camera out on a Windmill thinking I might get a muley, and I got this monster whitetail. And, you know, I had my chance at him. The whole strategy, the whole deal, second day of season, I went in with a perfect plan, perfect wind, perfect entry, everything. And sure enough, he steps out. And we filmed this deer probably about an hour, and it's October 1st, and he's pushing does. And I'm set up over this water tank, you know, it's out in the middle of nowhere. And finally he steps out and comes up, but it's right at dark. And I shoot him low. I got a little hair off of him. And then the word on the street was the farmer, I was leasing this piece of ground, they were going to put cows in there October 12th. And so I just had a few days trying to hunt the right wind. I had one more chance of the deer, and he comes around and wins me. Long story short, I hunt that deer all the way till November 15th, and he got killed 3 miles from a woman.
Wow.
You know, she shot him with a bow, but she called me, and I got to meet her, and I got to go finish that story, and that meant the world to me. And again, did it suck that I didn't kill him? Yeah. But to hear her story and to know, I mean, that deer, I got the closure like you're talking about, and that helped me a lot. But those are the moments I live for, is having those relationships with those deer.
Yeah, I agree, man.
It's awesome to have the perspective too. I think, I mean, Jeremy and I feel super fortunate to have reached some benchmarks, you know, or like some accomplishment here. Like this was my biggest deer here this past year, and Jeremy shot several giants as well. And we've also experienced the extreme negatives. You know, I mean, it's like maybe, you know, lost a giant property that was like near and dear, like a family property or something to us, or somewhere in between, you know, deer like that, finding them dead, or neighbor gets them or whatever. And so it really helps to check your perspective, you know, to look back on like, you know, hey, okay, I've experienced these two extremes, you know, and anything kind of at or inside of that, you're like, I can share with other people that, hey, you know, it's not as big a deal as, you know, I know it seems like it is, but here's what this looks like on the other end. And certainly there's maybe more for us to go in both directions, but it has helped for us to be able to talk about it here and share that with people along the way, you know,
that center piece of things that really is that, like, those extremes we can't control, right? That center portion of it, of how we take the journey, how we take the experience, like even going into this season. I mean, all three of us in the back of our head have several bucks that we're like, boy, I really hope I see him in July, August, September type, you know, and he makes that appearance, and then the game planning starts, right? The strategy starts, and there'll be several deer that we probably have in the back of our heads that, you know, come August, come beginning of September, maybe roll into, and it's like he's not showing, you know. And so those kind of experiences, though, and how you react to them is really what's going to make or break the rest of the season. I know that there's plenty of guys, and it's no knock to them, if there's a couple deer that they're after, and in September, October, those deer don't show, their entire season's already shot. And for me, I'm not going to accept that. Like, I'm going to find something to enjoy, you know, October, November, December with, even if I'm let down a little bit going into it.
You just, you can't control.
Well, and sometimes, I mean, it's like we have this property in Missouri. It's a big property. It's literally I gave a bow away, I don't know, 5 years ago. And anyway, some girl won it, you know, and so we have a lot of phone calls. I'm sure you guys do too. So the girls came in, or a girl called and said, hey, my grandpa's wanting to know if I won the bow, and he's wanting to know if Jeff would want to come up and hunt his farm, you know. And they're like, well, we'll let him know and we'll get back to you, you know. And so they come in there or something. They said, hey, or no, she's on the phone. She said, well, he's got 3,000 acres right on the Iowa border in North Missouri. And they said, hang on, I think Jeff just came available.
Yeah. Oh, no. Jeff's on his way. He's in the area, actually.
Yeah. But that property, they let me hunt, and they let me have this little house that I get to roll into. But guys, I don't know anything on it. It's a property, and it's almost so much refreshing. I mean, I love the deal of finding that big deer, and we get to go hunt him in Kansas in September, or Oklahoma in October, and you're trying to kill that sucker before October 25th, really. Yep. That's the pattern to me with those fronts. But when something goes wrong and that deer, like last year, I had a 170-inch deer I passed the year before, and last year he was probably 157.
Wow.
Well, that's a huge letdown.
Yeah.
And that stuff started happening like that last year. But then to walk into Missouri on Halloween night and not know nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, we got saddles in hand, and that's it. And that is refreshing.
Yeah.
That's back when I was a kid, and we just walk out in the woods in the dark, from the map, looking at it, and crawl up a cedar tree and see what it looks like in the morning. Now that's fun.
Yeah.
And that's that deal like you're talking about. That's finding the other side of it.
It is.
And then truly and enjoying these people that just let me come into their home. They give me a truck when I get there. Hey, drive this Jeep around. You can just stay and as long as you want. That's what it's about.
That is.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it is that kind of style. And I mean, the older I get into this stuff, and I've been fortunate to kill some big deer, and I want to keep doing that, but it's trying to find, man, and I hate saying it because it sounds weird, but like some of the best hunting times that I had when I was young and naive, right? That literally when I climbed up into an oak tree or whatever, and it broke daylight and I'm sitting over a scrape, that I'm daydreaming about a giant coming over that hill that doesn't exist, right? Like he isn't there, but naive me believes that at any second he could come down that trail and crush his scrape. And to where we are now, because of how much we know and how much we observe,
it's harder to encounter that.
Yeah, I don't get to experience that very often, and I miss it, to be honest. Like it's not that I don't get joy out of, finding a good buck and getting on them and killing them, but that mystique that used to be there of like, you never knew what was going to, pop up when you turn your head to the left, you don't get to feel that very much anymore.
Well, the trail cameras, I do seminars all over, and I stand to my left and I ask people, what's the best tool technology that we've ever had in the hunting industry? And obviously people say the trail camera. I say, you're right. And then I step over to the right and I say, okay, what's the worst technology that's ever happened to the hunting industry? And it's the same answer.
Same answer.
The trail camera is the same answer. I mean, from people doing them wrong. I mean, like I teach a lot on these cell cameras. I mean, these cell cameras were invented so you don't have to go in and out and spook your deer. But what happens? These people put them over a feeder, whatever it might be, and in 6 days the batteries are dead. And then they're in and out, and they get that big deer early, and then before long they're on their heels because now the deer's got them patterned. And I say them, myself, I've been in that too, where you're just too much. And so I agree. And then I catch my guys all the time going, well, I ain't going in there, that such ain't been on camera and
oh yeah.
Well, sometimes when you get them, it's too late. You should have already been there. Yeah.
Yep. It's a step behind at that point. Even though it's a cell cam in real time, when you get them coming through there, you're a step behind already.
I do want to comment on what Jeff said there. Just you're talking about, those guys loaning you the truck and stuff. And like, man, it sparks me like the generosity of people on some of the deer that we've killed recently has just been like,
it still exists.
One of the coolest parts of it, I mean, and we recognize that with the networking of this, but like, run them back. That one we killed on Bow Marsh Farm, but the other, to have the permission we did in Iowa for Lucas to put me on that deer in North Dakota. It's like, those are probably a bigger part of the memories. And even you and I, you know what I mean? Being like, dude, you should go in and hunt that spot or whatever, and it's like that generosity and like the selflessness of the people that we desperately try to spend the most time with during the hunting season is like what makes it
think
so
about how many
for
relationships are burned because of big deer.
Oh, I know.
I mean, how many friendships and business partnerships and whatever are burned to the ground because of a big deer?
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot.
Well, relationships are hard. I mean, I've made more mistakes, guys, and been selfish on a lot of things my whole life, but the Lord has just really helped me to see different and to see, especially in the hunting industry, the platform that God's given me and the opportunity to wake up every day and be intentional with those relationships. And again, I've been on the plus side of people helping me so many times. I mean, the truth of the matter is, guys, I really didn't have any talent. I mean, there's a lot of talented hunters in this industry, and I never was that. I was just maybe stubborn enough to learn and to learn discipline. Because that's really what's made me. I mean, my God give me an interest in the deer, so I do have that passion. But then probably just the discipline to do things, to learn and play the wind, and to don't hunt a spot if it ain't right. To those are the deals that I just go through every year, and then thank the people that's helped me get there, if that makes sense.
Well, Jeff, let's back up into that a little bit. I mean, what was your childhood like? I mean, did you walk right into a hunting family? Like, what did that look like, early in life?
Well, Jeremy, the deal we were supposed to do, I have a brother, and my dad, literally, we were a rodeo family.
Huh.
And so my dad, I mean, I was roping off a horse when I was 4 years old. And I mean, that was our life. I mean, we were meant to go to the NFR. Is that right?
You got any friends with that? No, that's not what that's from, but I know a lot of ropers missing fingers too.
Oh yeah. My dad doesn't have a thumb. He lost it July 4th of, I forget what year. Yeah. You shake his hand. But, yeah. So, but that was us. I mean, we were destined to go to the NFR. That was what we were trained to do. We were in a roping pen every day. But my dad took me coon hunting. Mm-hmm. He had coon dogs. And so as a kid, I mean, I was scared of the dark, scared of cows. My dad took me coon hunting when I was 4 years old, all the way. And I don't even know if I loved it then, but then I got into, you guys ever been, if you've never been, go, but have you ever been with a group of guys that go coyote hunting with greyhounds?
Well, I know, but we know Kev is one. We know some guys that do it.
Yeah. Well, that when I was 12 years old, my uncle, I started going with him, and there was, the radio, hey guys, there's one over in the big pasture, get around, and the excitement. And then my dad always shot a recurve, at bales of hay. He really wasn't a hunter.
Yeah.
But that just intrigued me so much. So then I'd grab that old recurve and he'd let me shoot it. And so I shot my first deer, guys, when I was 14, a doe, stalking through the woods with a bow and arrow. Just got lucky and killed a despinder. Yeah. First buck was 16, but I'm that guy that from rodeo or whatever, I just never could do anything halfway. I mean, to a fault. When I dive in, I just go.
Mm-hmm. That's called an addictive personality, Jeff. That's what that is.
Yeah.
We got it too.
Yeah. But as the years went, off we was rodeoing and roofing, and I was making pretty good money with my dad, and then he would give me some jobs, and then we were rodeoing all the time. And then I just got the opportunity to be a part of a hunting show here in Oklahoma. A guy kind of offered me a percentage, and anyway, it just fueled a fire. I got to start doing that. Didn't work out with him, but then that's where it all started. It's just like, okay, I got this footage now. I didn't know nothing about cameras. I definitely wasn't that guy. But again, back to I'm going to make it work. Mm-hmm. Hired me an editor, started. Because really, guys, I had a deal called BuckVentures Hunting Lease Opportunities. I was poor. I mean, I didn't really have a good place to hunt. And so I had this BuckVentures Hunting Lease Opportunities, and all I would do is go to northwestern Oklahoma, and I'd hit every farmer. Back in the day, there was no Onyx or Hunt Stand or nothing like that. It was a book. I had to go buy a $25 book from the courthouse to tell me the landowners in that county.
All your plat map
and
stuff.
I would go, the plat map stuff. And I would go to them, and I would walk up to Farmer Joe, and he'd be like, up in there in that country, if you got 2,000 acres, you ain't got very much. But I would ask him, hey, do you want to lease this? And I would get 20%. So if I took y'all's ground, mm-hmm. and they would say, well, we really want $8 an acre for this. But I said, well, I get 20%. And they say, okay. So I took care of, I had over 100,000 acres, and that's what I had, BuckVentures Hunting Lease Opportunities.
Oh, wow.
That other deal came along with this other TV guy, didn't work out with him. And then I had 14 kills of, if you could call it that. I mean, they wasn't great footage, but I started BuckVentures. And gosh, that was now 24 years ago, I believe.
Holy cow, man. Isn't that crazy?
Was that on a network? Where would you have seen that show at the time?
Well, that time, Jared, it was just on local Oklahoma City. It was called KSBI. Yep. I started there, and I was getting car dealerships as sponsors, didn't know what I was doing. And then when we got in, I realized you probably ain't going to make very good money. And And so I started the show on walk by faith, not by sight. So kind of changed it to shoot by sight, walk by faith, based on 2 Corinthians 5:7, and went national. And back in do y'all remember Men's Channel?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, so we were on Men's Channel, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was crazy. But it cost money.
Yeah.
And I didn't have hardly any sponsors. I remember like one of our first sponsors was Crimson Towel, and I think they give us like 6 packs of broadheads. And you think, golly. But long story short, I mean, me and my wife struggled because I just had such a, what you call the addictive personality, whatever. And we didn't have, I wasn't rodeoing, I wasn't roofing anymore. So I was just trying to make it with everything I had. And there was 3 years that, we were on the verge of going under.
Yeah.
And then if y'all remember Carry Light, it was Pradco, Carry Light, Night Rifles, that whole group, Summit Tree Stands, Moultrie. They believed in me and they got behind me, and that changed it all.
Wow.
We started going down and started. And for whatever reason, I mean, we got, I'm the weakest part of our team. I mean, we got great editors. We got hard workers, but the Lord shined on us. And one thing that we did was we enjoyed it. My biggest sale was to stay genuine, to be real, to find out, first of all, search myself. Who am I? Not be saying freak daddy because Waddell did. Who am I? And then go with that and bring that to the table, and the ones that don't like you, don't like you. And that was tough for me. I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
I want to please everybody. But that's kind of the story where it went. And then, like I said, we made money. I mean, that's where bottom line is, we figured out a way to make money. Obviously when it first started back in those days, guys, it was someone just handing you a check for a commercial to run on your spot.
That's it.
Now it's this whole circle, right? You got to have commercial, you got to have digital, you got to have social media, you got to have all this. And then, hey, yeah, we're friends, but prove to me, where's the numbers? If you ain't got the numbers, we ain't with you.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Hoyt.
What can we say, man? Another year back with Hoyt. We're both shooting RX8s. I'm shooting 70 pounds in the bourbon, which I love bourbon.
That's great.
And you're shooting 80 pounds in the straight black.
Blacked out as always, man. I got so I'm shooting the 500 grain Easton Arrow this year. And at 80 pounds, I'm flinging that thing at like 300 feet per second. I mean, it's deadly. Put a water buffalo in front of me and he's done.
I mean, we shot it earlier. You literally put an arrow through a brand new target, like never been shot before.
I know. So one other thing that Hoyt is doing this year is they're making all their own strings in-house. And so the quality is top notch, and it just really is something that is setting them apart from their competitors.
Well, what we always try to do when we go to our bow shop, Ultimate Outdoors, is we try to shoot other bows just to make sure that we are really giving everybody a fair chance here. The reality is it's a no-brainer. Hoyt stands above all of them every single time.
Definitely. And so right now you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, for 20% off any apparel on the Hoyt website. And as always,
get serious, get Hoyt. It's wild, man. I mean, that evolution through there. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially if you go back that 10, 15 years ago during the TV era, a lot of people look at that and say, man, if those guys were on Sportsman's Channel or Outdoor Channel or whatever it was, like they were making bank, and they don't realize how much it costs, not just for the airtime, but also all the production and editing to create a show. I mean, you could gross, $700,000, and at the end of the day, you don't net very much out of that. Like it is an extreme cost to be in that stuff. And yeah, and today, we even see that. It's no knock to like the OSG guys or anything, but I mean, the airtime costs are a fraction of what they were 10 to 15 years ago because of the way that the model is. Yeah, it doesn't work anymore.
Well, and it's we're still on Outdoor Channel and Sportsman. We built a really good relationship over there, so we're going to continue to be there. But again, you have to have all of it. I mean, to be successful and for someone to pay. And back in the day, guys, I mean, it was, back in the day, let's just say you had a Matthews or Bear or whatever it might be. I mean, they had $1 million of spending budget. I mean, and this was realistic. A lot of times they did. And basically what it was there was 2 avenues. There was TV 60% and there was print 40%.
Yep.
And so my angle always was, man, I have to be top 1 or 2. If you guys are partnering with me, you guys are going to be looking at cuts somewhere every year. And if I'm on the bottom of that list, I'm going to get cut. And I've been there.
Yep.
But that's where we just tried to be. I mean, to make sure that we're in that top 1 or 2 or 3, so you don't get cut and you continue on, because and for whatever reason, we were able to break through that. We've had some of the same sponsors for, years and years and years now, but that's the model back then. And all you had to do, they were going to give that $1 million away. You just had to get in there and get it. Well, nowadays it's way different.
Oh yeah.
They're scaled way back. There's a lot of different ways, and they're going to look at YouTube. They're going to look at digital. They're going to look at this, that, ambassadors, what they're getting for their buck, and then prove to me, okay, Jeff, yeah, I know you've been around a long time. Yeah, you're shooting some good deer. Y'all got some good footage, but what can you do for me? And if you tell me that, show me.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at.
That's a huge piece of it. I mean, we talked to, was it Ben Rising that was like, man, it just, nobody kills that you care that you kill big deer anymore. Like it used to be. That was a big part of it.
Well,
if you kill big deer.
What we said, and Ben's a friend, so we talk about it. It's like, dude, if you were going to get paid, like if the idea was, hey, if I kill giant deer, I'm going to get paid, like at Ben Rising, I'm like, boy, that's case in point. And he does great, with his Whitetail Edge business. But I mean, it wasn't like 2 + 2 = 4, in that.
It used to, though. I mean, that was a big factor of it. I mean, the guys that were out there killing big deer, and especially obviously getting it on film for TV. I mean, they were your top tier guys, right? That's where people were following. Now it's
about influence, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like, in a lot of cases, people want to see guys shoot big deer, but that's not all of it. I mean, there's story elements now. There's engaging, and I mean, the attention span of the consumer is. Well, there's no perfect
seconds.
recipe. There is no perfect recipe. I mean, I'm sure people have asked you, Jeff, and people ask us. They're like, "How do I get sponsors? How would I build a channel?" I'm like, dude, I have no idea. All we do is we sit here and have a conversation and put it on YouTube, and it seems to resonate with people, and here we are. And everybody else has got a slightly different equation.
I think just looking at you guys, I mean. It's genuineness. You guys are genuine. You're real. You have passion. That's what people follow.
That's true.
And not that everyone will be that, but that's the way to make it. And going kind of back to Ben Rising, first of all, he's an awesome hunter, one of the best hunters I've ever seen.
Don't make his head too big, Jeff.
Let's back it off here a little bit. He's all right. He's okay.
Yeah, he's all right.
He's all right.
Well, but I still think the big deer comes into factor. I mean, you take Mark Drury and him. I mean,
oh yeah,
we're all keeping up with that. They don't shoot a 200. I mean, Mark shoots a 180. I'm like, well, dang, he had a down year. But I mean, I do still think that. But I get what you're saying. Back in the day, and that was my mentality. Man, if I can just shoot another big deer, and I can, and it actually helped. I mean, I became kind of that. I mean, I was, and really you pigeonhole yourself. I've done it. Ben Rising's done it. If I come on tomorrow and I shoot 145-inch deer in Kansas, people are going to look at it and go, what the crap?
I know, right?
There are those guys, Lee Lakoski, Josh Beaumart, Lee Ellis. If those guys don't kill a 200, everybody's like, what are you doing? Like,
I know.
Yeah, that's a scary situation to be in, man. That's not an envious one either.
Yeah. Now I'll tell you this, the thing that gets on my nerves, and if I can get on a soapbox just for a second.
We love that. So yes.
I believe most people want to shoot a big deer. But that's the deal I can't stand with the industry, because going back to big deer, you know what's really happened? People are mad at you. If you're successful, or if you're going after a big deer, they're mad at you. Well, that's not what hunting's about. Well, it is for me. I mean, why? That's what I want to tell everybody. Quit griping, because that's what I want to do, and accept me for that. And if you want to go the other way, I mean, Waddell's a perfect example. Waddell is, if he's shooting a squirrel, we all want to watch. That's what that's who he is.
Yep.
But I used to just shoot deer, whatever, but I become a deal where I just like hunting big deer.
Yeah.
That's all I want. But people get so mad, and that's what's happened, where people are against it so much. And a lot of it, I believe, is because either one of two things. They don't want to put in the work, because I know, just listen to y'all. You guys work your tail end off.
Yep.
All year long.
Yep.
And again, I don't want to have to apologize, nor do you, that you got a good spot to hunt, because it ain't always been that way.
No.
I was poor. I worked my tail end off. And again, I agree. Some people say, well, I could come on Jeff's farm and shoot a big deer. Well, probably. But I've worked my tail end off to get there and made it this way.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a lot of it. And, this public land deal is just went crazy, which great. I think that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But don't down me.
Yeah, that's our
or someone else that shot a big deer on private ground. It still ain't easy.
Yeah.
That's what's.
It's the must be nice mentality is what it is. It's not relatable. Most people won't ever haven't killed a big deer. You know what I mean? It's just that's the, and I realize that more and more, dude. I mean, the more, and I have to be careful because it's like not that this is every day, but like in conversation, I'm like, that's where my head is at. Mm-hmm. And the more you do that, just hanging out with people, you realize most people won't ever have the chance to hunt a farm like that or to shoot a big deer. And so when you get to that level, granted, never have killed a 200-inch deer and certainly not doing it every year type of a thing. So I can only imagine from those guys' perspective, but you're not relatable at all.
Yeah.
And that's true in a lot of aspects of life, I think, whether it's success in any capacity, financial is the easy one to point at, but it's just like when you reach a point, first of all, you're going to lose friends. You're going to go through friends groups and you're going to become less and less relatable as you become more and more successful. And that's just, I think, comes with the territory.
Way to look at it. Yeah.
There's a bad sickness there. I mean, it kind of goes back to the camaraderie thing that we were talking about. Like I have the mentality of if you succeed, I'm happy that you succeed. And that like I appreciate and honestly, I feed off of other people's success. Right? If Jeff goes out there and busts his ass and kills a giant buck, that fires me up to go out and bust my ass so I could kill. Right? That's my mentality.
Depends who it is though, right? We can all admit, dude, I've seen people kill deer, and I'm like, F that guy. Like,
well, yeah, but
we're human, dude. I've got an element of jealousy to me.
Yeah, but that gets back to like the consistency aspect of things. Like, can they do it consistently? Right? Like, there's the one-offs we always see. It's like, wow, how'd that guy kill a giant buck? Well, it's just pure dumb luck. Like, and those happen. Mm-hmm. But from the consistent aspect, I mean, if they're doing the work and and it may not be just we're talking about this in a hunting style. I mean, for a lot of people, has nothing to do with how they're managing their property or how they're hunting. It's purely success outside of that to afford the land where these big deer exist. Right? I mean, that's the number one thing anymore. It's like, I'd love to say I could buy any property in the United States and grow big bucks. That's not true, right? Like if I want to grow elite big bucks, you have to go where they are. And then you have to be able to acquire the access and the property to where they are.
Well, that's been one of the bigger shifts, Jeff, that we've seen. And you've probably, you got at least 10 years on us here on Jeremy anyways. It seems like what the shift has been for a long time for any of those guys, Rising, Drury, Lakoski, it was like, wow, the strategy was what was so impressive. You're like, the fact that they can pattern these deer or figure them out, like their hunting skill is what was impressive. To where now it's like most people recognize that we have like the technology, we have the ability, that part is not as impressive anymore to most people. It's obtaining the access to do it. And so that's where I catch myself. I'm like, you see somebody who doesn't have nearly the hunting skill, but they have
the access.
Whether they worked for it or just their family owns whatever it is, their circumstances that they happen to have that access. Even myself, I'm like, boy. Yeah, but
must be nice.
But and I think that goes, Jared, where what you were saying earlier. I mean, because if I'm honest, I mean, there's many people I've said, "Oh, he killed that deer," and I fall into that category at times where I got to go, Jeff, you need to quit saying stuff like that. I mean, or thinking it. I mean that. Oh well, he had that. That's why he killed that deer. But I think going back to the deal, it's just like if Lee Lakoski shoots a deer. I love it. I mean, I know how much work went into that. And it didn't start this summer. It started 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or Mark Drury and their passion. Now, again, back to your deal of someone, whether they just have family ground or whatever. I really think this. I mean, anybody, smoking a cigar, right? There, I have this deal to seminars all the time. Well, so Uncle Joe was smoking a cigar and he shot a 203. Well, back to consistency.
Yeah, not consistently. He's not.
Yeah, but even let's just take somebody that's got a wife that has 1,000 acres in Iowa. Well, he might go shoot a couple big deer, but even to do that every year, he's going to have to put in some work probably and do things right. I mean, and I say that I had the Wallahatchie for years, and I set it up where, it was, if you just do such things, you're going to shoot big deer. But I've sold it a few times and then got it back. And I've seen people, they had money, but they couldn't shoot a big deer.
Yeah.
They would just hunt it wrong, especially out in that country. You're not only dealing with nose, you're dealing with eyes and little pressure. You take 2,000 acres out there, it'd be like hunting 160 acres in the mountains of Kentucky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's big, but it ain't big.
Yep.
So,
dude,
I don't know. I mean, I think that we have to shift gears into hunting right now. I think that we need to be optimistic of people like you guys, us, and help hunters along and find their way again to putting in the work. And I guess the biggest thing what I see is making people appreciate it, I guess.
Yeah.
Appreciate the hard work instead of just, I take kids now and they'll be out there, we'll be hunting and they'll be playing a video game hunting. I'm like, dude, put that down.
Yeah.
We're hunting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think the hardest thing, because I truly want to believe that if somebody wants it bad enough, you can figure out how to make it happen. Like that's the mindset that I have, and I want other people to have. And I know not everybody is in the situation for it to work, especially with the way that land prices are and things like that. But, from a stepping stone standpoint, like, do I expect them to walk right into a 500-acre property? No, but could they get their first 40? I think they absolutely could. Is it going to come easy based on like their day job, their family, kids, etc.? Hell no, it's not. And it really doesn't for most people. That's kind of the must be nice mentality is I think they see some people out there doing it that maybe inherited money, walked right into something. But for the majority of people, Jeff, per what you're saying there of your background, it's like, man, I didn't grow up with land. I hunted public ground and had a few permission pieces. I was poor growing up, and I bought my first piece of land in 2019. So 6 years ago. I own almost 800 acres at this point, but it's not because of anything besides just hard work and determination to say I'm gonna make this happen. Is it still easy today? No. Like, I got to make payments on mortgages, or I got to sell those properties. But I'm determined enough to say I will figure out ways to make money to make that happen, and I'll go the extra mile to do it because I want to. I care about it, and that's a tough thing, I think, from a lot of people's mentality.
Well, that's just it. I mean, it's kind of the bad attitude deal with people, and again, we've all been there where it's you're jealous or whatever, but it's hard work every time. You just can't get around it. And if somebody, because that's me, I don't feel sorry for them, Jeremy. I don't. I mean, I grew up on 10 acres. Yep. A little horse farm, and we didn't have none. We worked our tail ends off. My dad's still a roofer. He's 73 years old. So I don't feel sorry for them. I mean, get your butt to work. Yep. And get after it. If you want something, go get it. I mean, I was up there piecing it together. I would take a lawyer and a construction guy that didn't have time, but they had money, and I would go be the workhorse for them on a lease so I could hunt good ground. Yeah. And that's where I started. And today, and especially Oklahoma, what I teach these Oklahoma guys, I mean, we have hogs. You guys, up there in Iowa and Illinois, them guys, they pay a fortune to come down here. You can actually trade hog hunts for freaking Iowa hunts. Yeah. So, I mean, it's easier today than ever. But again, it's just the guy sitting on there wanting to be mad on the keyboard or getting to work and sacrificing and bust your butt. So I'll never feel sorry for that deal. Get to work is what I say. And if you have that passion to go kill big deer, to go shoot deer, whatever, to have a television show, whatever it might be, go do it. Yeah. You'll figure it out. Stopping you. Yep. Yeah. No, I think that's a big message. And it is really hard for, I mean, people just are in different situations, but it's like you got to create opportunities. I mean, we've had people on this podcast here in the last couple of years write us that basically hear a conversation like this, and they're like, I think one of them was around their job. And it's like, man, can you imagine going to work every day and hating your job and how much time you spend at it? And we've had people write us and said,
I quit my job and I'm going to do something different now. Because you're right. Like, what am I doing wasting my life at a job that I'm miserable at? Is that easy for them to do? Hell no. But they realize that they need to do and make a change. And they're not going to just accept being comfortable, essentially. That's a cool thing.
No, I get it.
It's wild.
Yeah, really. I mean, that is a cool thing. And I mean, and there's always going to be the 9-to-5 guy.
Yep.
They're going to have to work. And, I get this all the time in doing the seminars. People are like, well, you're saying, Jeff, to stay out of that stand if you got a big deer, but I only get to hunt such and such days. So
yep,
still stay out of it.
Stay out of it.
Go hunt, go get some other stands and put up and hunt right wins. And then when the front comes, go kill that deer. But again, we're all going to have different things, but we need to quit griping, and especially people being successful. I mean, and like y'all started off, I mean, the deer is, I've seen it hurt relationships big time. But it shouldn't be that way. Like I said, there's, I remember guys, you guys will probably get a kick out of this. I started BuckVentures in Oklahoma, but one of my key things do y'all know where Ringgold and Mount Airy is in Iowa?
Yep. Yeah. Too well. Yeah.
So I had a lease, 400 acres on the Iowa line. It was literally touching Ringgold.
Yeah.
And I was hunting Missouri, and then I was hunting Iowa. That's where I started BuckVentures.
I think we almost hit a deer on your farm.
Yeah, probably.
with our truck.
Yeah. But that is where it all started. And again, I look back and I cherish those hard, those times where I'm like, dude, wonder if I got enough money to get back home. We were sleeping in the cars, right? I mean, we were leaving at, 10 o'clock here and being in a tree in Iowa the next morning, sleeping in the truck that night. And again, that's what built us.
Oh man.
So I look back on that, guys, and I don't feel sorry for this generation that's griping about us shooting big deer. Or, he's got that much land. Yeah, I could shoot that deer on there. Well, maybe.
Yeah.
But go figure it out and get you some land.
Yeah.
The level of effort is a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, and we maybe take it for it's just what we do, but everybody is in different circumstances. So on one hand, I'm sympathetic to, people are like, well, I have this job, I have these kids, and there's things that you can't change. But for me, I'm like, dude, I would quit, like or whatever it is. The level of I'm like, and you do have to be careful. I know, you can take it too far. I'm not saying walk away.
That's a problem.
I'm not saying walk away from your family. I'm not saying idolize deer or whatever, but it's a decision. You can decide to, continue on this, whatever, use the 9-to-5 example, or, hey, I need to produce a second revenue stream, or, find a different way to structure this, because I don't have a choice. I have to get up at 2:30 in the morning to go down to my Iowa farm and put these food plots. Because if I don't, I'm not going to get the result that I want.
Yeah.
And so go get, like you're saying, Jeff, go get it.
Well, and Jeremy, there's another aspect to it I want to bring up, is the 9-to-5 guy. And I mean, kind of going back down to reality, is there's nothing wrong with that. Sure. There's nothing wrong. And I'm just going to tell you guys, I'm 53 years old. From rodeo and hunting, I get up in the middle of the night to pee, and I don't know where the bathroom is, because I sleep in so many beds. And that was my life all these years. Now, again, we can talk about the fun things about, oh, Jeff, you come up the hard way, now you have a television show, but there's part of me that I regret, because that 9-to-5 guy got to see every soccer game. I got to see every what I mean? I was off doing things and trying to be successful. So again, that is something because I believe this. I believe you put God first, you put your family second, and then your job will come in there. Well, I had that mixed up a lot through my deal. I'm just going to be honest. And so there were some things I'd go back and change. So as people are listening, maybe it is that you're working at the deal, and you're going to work there the rest of your life, and you don't like it that much, but you get to spend that time with family. So there's no right answer, I guess.
Sure.
You just have to decide inside of yourself what you want to do. If you're married, discuss it with your wife, and then make that decision, and then go get it. But now, this is what I'll say: if you're that 9-to-5, or you can't go do this, I think all of us just need to have the attitude of not, rooting that next guy on that can do it, I guess.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, accept the result. You know what I mean? If you decide not to do XYZ or to stay at XYZ, then, accept the result. Be happy with, don't be, like you're saying, I think, don't be mad at the other guy for doing the other thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you also should explore your options, though. I mean, so even if you're in a 9 to 5, like, we keep
saying 9 to 5, and like to reiterate your point, Jeff,
just day job.
Absolutely nothing wrong with
standard day job.
Yeah.
But look at the opportunities that exist in today's society. I mean, you can go online at night and take your real estate license, and I'm not saying you're going to be a professional real estate person, but you could sell a handful of properties through the year and make some good extra cash, right? Like there are options out there if you want it bad enough. None of it is going to just end up in your lap, right? You're going to have to go out there and figure out how to do it.
This discussion is financially motivated, but equally as much as like it's a time thing. It's like, dude, if it's November 5th and you got like the rain front's clearing and it's cold and I have to work tomorrow, I'm like, that doesn't work for me. Do you know what I mean? So sure. I had to find a situation where I was like, I'm going. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'm going. So we had to, but also, I have a wife and we have, some businesses and I have business partners and I have responsibilities. So I need to, find a lifestyle here that allows me to maintain those. And also it's going to tolerate what I have to do.
Yeah. Well, and I look at this too, the analogy of, I don't know what y'all's background is in sports or anything, but, I played ball when I was a kid that way too. And, there's always that deal in the back of your head. If you could do anything right, you'd want to play basketball or baseball or football.
Yep.
But the problem is it takes talent.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have enough talent. But on this side of it with hunting, I'm living proof. I ain't got a lot of talent in it. But I'm just stubborn enough to make it work, and I had such a passion for it.
Yeah.
So, again, you can kind of take that. If you want to go play ball, you can't do that because you ain't got the talent. But on this side of it, the hunting or whatever, and again, real estate's a perfect example, Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, somebody that's honest and look a guy in the eye and wants to study a little bit and learn some stuff. Gosh, it mixes because you're not only making money by selling some of them farms, you're networking.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Things are opening up to be able to hunt. It works perfect with that, dude, and it's proven.
I'll throw this one out there, Jeff. I don't know if I can say most, but a large percentage of the guys that I know that have desirable schedules and can afford to do, the kind of hunting stuff we're talking about are excavators. They own dirt moving businesses.
Yeah.
They can, they make enough money during, the summer and stuff like that to be able to have a flexible schedule in the fall, and those guys kill it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So buy an excavator and start setting flyers.
Heavy equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's wild,
I want to be sensitive to people. Some people probably work their tail end off and they never get ahead.
Yep.
And I understand. I mean, I've seen people that way. I mean, heck, my dad, has done well over the years, but I mean, he's still roofing, guys.
Yep.
But he don't gripe about it. You know what I mean? I'm so thankful that that's who he is. He taught me how to work but I think that what we've been talking about for the last 30 minutes, work ethic, what I really think we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, that transition of work ethic is what kills big deer now. I mean, again, yes, can you buy yourself into some of these places where they are? Absolutely. But to kill those deer, and especially to kill them consistently, it's work ethic. That's all it is. It's hard work. It's determination. It's a good strategy.
And it's still not a straight path.
It is not a straight path.
It's not just work ethic equals access to giant deer.
No.
And you still have to, we don't know. Each one is different. It's like, man, we're working religiously at networking, but and also at being able to afford our own farms, and a culmination of all of the effort across our entire life seems to be there it is. There's some fruit that's yielded from that, and it's, hey, I got an opportunity in this, and this person was generous, and
might not be the biggest fruit either. It's just that's what it produced.
Yeah.
Essentially. Take what you get, and be happy with it.
Sure. Well, and I mean, heck, my deal is the goals that I've set. I mean, heck, I didn't shoot my first deer, guys, on my own property. I leased a lot over the years, but 2019 is when I shot my, what year was that? 2021? 2021 is I shot my first deer on my own dirt.
Wow.
I mean, I bawled like a baby.
That's awesome.
I mean, and kind of where I'd got to is I don't care anymore. I mean, let me rephrase it. I care. I want people to watch whatever, but I hunt for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was a time where I got caught up and it was all about, gosh, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. And I kind of lost time in that of going, dang, I'm not hunting for the right reasons. I mean, I remember years ago, that lucky deer, he was 187 inch typical. And I'd hunted him and hunted him and hunted him. And I was trying to kill him with a bow. I mean, there's multiple shows I had with this deer where I'm shooting him with a bow. And if y'all remember, do y'all remember archery.com? I think it's called Archery Talk or
Archer
whatever.
Talk, yeah. The
so
forums.
That was when it was huge.
Yep.
And so anyway, I called to this deer. I see him coming off the alfalfa field one morning. It's like November 21st. Well, it's rifle season. Well, CVA was a big sponsor of this before they had rifle. So I had a CVA muzzleloader and I had my bow. I just had my CVA hanging back there in a tree. I'm in a tree, you know, the whatever. So Lucky comes off. He's about 400 yards. I go to calling to him. It's wind, 21 mile an hour wind that morning. He can't hear it. I can't get him to respond, but I can watch him. And anyway, goes down, he drops down this river bottom, goes down, he jumps another fence, gets off of my land. And all of a sudden we see him running back towards my land, and he got spooked by a cow. So he jumps the fence, and then all of a sudden I see him come out, and now he's closer. So I bang the horns together and I get him coming. Now the mojo of this deer was he was a lover, not a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And he would come. You couldn't hardly get him to close that distance. So anyway, he comes, he's pointing right at me. I see him go down the creek. I got my bow out, you know, a second angle on me, so it's live. And he don't come out. I'm just staring at this creek right where he went in, looked like he's gonna come out. And all of a sudden I look to my right and I'm like, dude, here he is right here. Well, he's not coming. He's 90 yards. He's skirting me. He's a 187 inch deer. I put down my bow and I shoot this sucker with that muzzleloader, drop him. I got more hate at Archery Talk, whatever. There was a topic on there about me that I cheated this deer. But that was kind of the moment where I said, you know what? I gotta quit pleasing everybody and quit and be thick skinned. And, you know, it's just what I am. I killed that deer. I bawled. It meant the world to me. I didn't care who was watching. That meant the world to me. That's what I was after. And I always tell people, if they open bazooka season, I will get a bazooka. I know some people don't like the gun, but I do. And I'm going to be who I am. Now, I like bow hunting as well, but to chase a big deer, I'll shoot him with anything. And it was legal. So again, that is where I took the shift to say, you know what? I hope people watch, but they're just going to have to like me or dislike me for who I am.
Yeah. Well, that's a healthy place to be for sure.
I mean, if you don't, it'll eat you up, you know, because I mean, it's especially in today with the number of touch points that people can basically voice their 2 cents on. I mean, you know, it's a dime a dozen on our channel.
It's pretty cool though. Did you killed that lucky buck? That was 2019 on your own place?
No, that was the Wallahatchie, but a friend of mine, that was back in 2012. That I actually was with Major League Bowhunter. That's one reason, you know, when I started Major League Bowhunter in 2010, and that's one of the big things because it was Major League Bowhunter.
Yeah,
and it ticked them off, buddy. They were ticked.
Yeah.
Well, tell them to call up Adam Hayes. It's Team 200. They kill lots of deer that aren't 200. we busted his balls about that for a while. Well, I
know. Yeah,
that's cool though, Jeff. Jeremy and I think also just recently had that experience of, was that Ohio buck? Well, you killed one in Illinois too. I'm going to bucks we killed on our own property.
The first buck I killed on my own dirt I bought that Kentucky mountain farm in 2019. The only buck I've ever killed on that property was in 2019 during gun season. I killed that 5-year-old 8-point.
Yeah. That was your first one?
That was the first buck I've ever killed on my own dirt. That's the only deer I've ever killed on that property, coincidentally.
Yeah. Wow. That 8-point that I killed in Illinois 2 years ago, I think is the first buck that I killed on dirt that we owned together.
Well, what did that feel like to you? Was it different? I mean,
dude,
did it just mean the world to you?
Off the charts. Like I couldn't, I mean.
You cried on that one last year, that Ohio.
Oh, dude, I was choked up.
Because that one, you had more, I think, hands-on input on that farm. You know what I mean? You did all the timbering.
It was one of the first deer I had seen on that farm as probably a 2-year-old. Yeah, I put a lot of effort in it. Carter, my oldest, killed a 7-point. That was the only deer we've killed on that farm for owning it for 3 years. And then, You couldn't have painted a better picture. I climbed up in the stand. It was 80 degrees. 35 minutes later, he came walking down at 24 yards, and I smoked him. And walking up on that deer of like all of the things that I've done to that farm, and you see this 5-year-old buck laying on this hillside, and you're just like, yeah, it takes your breath away. Yeah. It's a crazy
feeling.
That's
a good way to put it. That's how I was. I was almost hyperventilating. I mean, I had made a living, a decent living up until 2017 or 18. And then like my first piece in Kansas, I give $600,000 for it, guys. I signed a note on that, me and my wife, and it was like, what are we doing? And I mean, seriously, I was like, anyway, I didn't shoot that. I shot a 4 drop tine deer off that. That was my first deer on my own dirt, 181-inch deer in 2021.
Wow.
And it was unbelievable. And again, kind of where my deal has been is kind of where I got ahead a little bit was buying some farms. I mean, going out with, we talk about hard work, but just having guts and a plan, right?
Yes.
That's what I teach in my seminars, guys, because number one thing I get is, first of all, what y'all said earlier, people won't know how to get sponsors, how to get a TV show going. But one of the second things I always get is, Jeff, you always talk about bedding and this and that. And how do you know where they bed? Well, and I could tell people, like, look, guys, I could come to your property and I can look at it. I can have a really good guess. But the end of the day is, I'm not a rocket science. I don't know exactly, but we all have to have a plan. And that's how I do when I'm hunting. I put together my scenario, my plan, and then even the plan of buying dirt and then having the guts, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, but
it is. I mean, the land thing, I mean, just because of who we are as a podcast and just people knowing our passions around the land management side of things. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things that we get a lot of questions around is like buying land. And man, there's not a good answer. Like I'm buying land in Eastern Kentucky for $1,700 an acre still. Is it deer Mecca? Hell no. No, very far from it. Right. And people will say, well, why would you buy it there? I'm like, well, I think it's a good investment and I can deer hunt and I'm trying to grow mature bucks there. And maybe I'm growing 140 to 160 inch mature deer, but in that area, those are studs and I have a hell of a blast chasing them, right? Could I or would I go out to a Kansas or a Missouri or Illinois or Iowa and buy ground? Yeah, maybe. It's going to cost me a lot more. So I got to be the risk has to make sense.
Well, you also understand the game too, you know what I mean? So it's like, just because you buy a piece of property, most people look at that as like the final step. Like, oh, I bought a piece of property, I'll be here forever. And, we've had to reach a point of comfortability with it where it's like, hey, we're going to thoughtfully go into this investment, but also it very well may not be the piece, so let's get in it. And let's do our best with it. And in the meantime, something else may come up and ours will appreciate in value and we will have put work into it, maybe killed a deer or two off of it. And if the time comes to 1031 that into something better, then let's go.
And transparently, that is, as of right now, that is my admitted flaw. I've only bought, I've never sold, and I'm very attached to land. Those are my flaws, right? Yeah. So, as I'm looking at these pieces, per what you're saying, you're right. You're exactly right.
But you're not afraid to buy them.
No. I am not afraid to buy them.
I'll help you sell them. You talk me into buying them. I'll talk you into selling them.
Even if I look at my Ohio, I started with 130 acres in Ohio. I've built it to 230 at this point, and I took a lot of timber off of it. Like that, it is the cornerstone to buying really good future land for me. I really like that property. I will likely sell that in the next 2 or 3 years, not because there's anything wrong with it. It's just I'll want to either move closer or be in a better area, essentially.
And you will have done your thing on it.
I will have done my thing on it,
and there's always better farms out there. So, I mean, if you can improve and you can keep having new experiences and improve, the next property, then do it.
The sell aspect will be, it will be tough, though, because, I didn't grow up with land. So what I have right now has been hard earned to get to, and then
it's going to be an easy Band-Aid though, because you're not going to sell it without having one in your sights.
Yeah, I guess so.
Have you ever heard, like my wife would, because I'm in a lot, and Jeremy, she'd go, well, I thought we were going to start selling some of it. We just keep buying it. I go, we will eventually.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. And again, I am very much looking at all of my purchases as investments as well, because I mean, man, I wish I could have did it 15 years ago, right? Because where land prices were. I mean, it seems like every time I talk to somebody who's getting into a sell, I'm like, well, when did you buy this? So like, man, you wouldn't believe I bought this thing 20 years ago and I paid $1,000 an acre, you know? And I'm like, you know, and I'm sitting there looking at it at $4,000 to $5,000 an acre. And I'm like, geez, like what an investment on that.
Well, and that's where I always try to help people. I'm like, look, guys, you know, I ain't telling you to go get yourself in a bind, but get you a buddy, get a couple buddies. There's opportunities out there. Whether you start with 40 acres, 80 acres. I mean, I have a 75 acre in Kansas, and we shoot studs off of it. I mean, you know, obviously we all want the most land we can get, but this little piece is, you know, we put soybeans and head feed and Milo on it, and it's got a creek running through it, and there ain't hardly any deer that live on it. But I kill the fire out of them bedroom, you know, them farms that are holding them next to me. So there's always those opportunities, and you know, most of the time you guys are land guys. If you set it on a little bit, you're not going to lose.
No,
but that's why I'm always trying to, these guys they want it, but you just got to get over that hump, because it is scary. I mean, my first property, gosh, it was scary, but just, you know, put a plan together, get some people and counsel you, and then just go do it. I mean, if you got the credit to do it, do it.
If your butthole isn't puckered when you go out and sign that first deal, then you didn't do it right. I mean, that's just how it is, man. It's part of it.
What did we set out for?
We set out to buy an 80.
Jeremy and I bought an Illinois farm 2 years ago.
80
we were looking
like,
for an 80 together.
For like 500 at a max.
500,000.
Yeah.
So that was our budget. We're looking for 80 acres for $500,000.
Yep, just for the two of us. You know, just to get a foot in the door in Illinois.
Yeah.
We came out of there with a 144 for damn near $1 million.
and looking to build. We're actively, you know, trying to grow.
But I mean, it was like, you know, that's just it. It wasn't. Yeah. So when that all came together,
babe, it's an investment.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the number crunching you know, was really rapidly going there, and honestly, I probably wouldn't have been able to do that deal had I not just cut all that timber off of Ohio, because that's what I used for my down payment, right? So one of my purchases basically helped fuel the ability to do that part of that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just and the only reason that people will say, well, man, that's crazy, that seems irresponsible. It was like when that farm came into our lap,
we knew what it was.
Clearly, we were like, hey, this is the right one. Yes, it's over the projected what we thought was going to be a budget, but we're getting more farm in a better area, and we had CRP income, which we were not necessarily anticipating from other farms.
It was a good deal. It was more money, but it was a good deal.
It was a good deal. Yeah, and honestly, that farm we paid $925. Is that right?
Yeah,
we paid $925 for it. That farm's probably close to 1.2 right now, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
if not more, probably. I mean, I mean, that's the deal. It's what I've learned, guys, is, you know, this turnkey deal. I mean, you know, it's kind of going back to my early days of the construction worker and the lawyer. There's people that make money.
Oh yeah.
And they ain't got the time.
Yep.
And when you can hand them the keys to say, here, this deer, and this deer's on this farm. This is how you walk in here. Here's the head feed that you just follow this trail. You walk right in here. You do this, you do that. People are like, yep, here you go.
Yeah, they'll pay for it.
And it's a dream for everybody, right? You make your money, you go on to your next one, and they got their dream. They got the keys to their Mecca here.
Yep.
So that outline, it won't stop working. It'll continue to work.
The HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Lone Wolf Custom Gear.
Man, Jared, we are tree stand fanatics, and I think the one thing that we have learned over all these years is to kill big bucks, we got to be mobile. We've been hunting out of Lone Wolves for many years, the original Lone Wolf, and then obviously with the custom gear stuff, we're using the 0.5 and the 0.75. And the one thing that we talked about is like, what if there were no cables? here we are.
I really just don't know how you can beat it, frankly. But, you know, a lot of that came too from a relationship that we've built with the DeQuistos. We've had both Cody and Andre on the podcast a few times. The passion for hunting, the outlook on the sport and stuff, I think is eye to eye with how we look at it. Everything that has gone into building this brand and to building these tree stands is something that we want to be a part of.
This is the 40th anniversary of these guys creating tree stands that have been critical to how we hunt whitetail deer today. If you look over the past, you'll see Andre's designs being implemented across so many stands over the years. Such a cool thing, but really has changed the way that we all hunt whitetail deer from above now.
Right now, you can use code HUNTR, HUNTR, to get 7% off anything on the entire website. Be the lone wolf.
Obviously, with your experience in Kansas and Oklahoma, like for Jared and I, the downfall of going out to these other states to buy is like we don't know the neighborhoods, right? So we're trying to get like information out because I'm not worried about developing the farm. Like I can look at the aerial and say, cool, this is a huntable farm. It's a good access. We can things, but if the neighborhood's not producing the quality of deer we're looking for, then all of that basically is going to waste.
I'm going to take a wild guess and say you didn't get that 80 acres in Kansas on market. It was an off market connection.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I was already there. I mean, and to kind of to dive into this more, I believe, in talking to y'all and everyone listening, is not only do you want the property guys to be in a place where it might have Boone and Crockett deer, but my biggest thing past that is being in there where you're outlaw free. I mean, in other words, there's places that you buy in. I've literally had to get out of there for your life. I mean, you know, those places where, the North Missouri back in the day, when I had that lease, I got shot at out there. I mean, I had people driving and you could not keep them off. So like my area in Kansas, I found a place where it's just good old boys. I mean, I come in, I'm part of the community almost.
Yeah.
So when you can find those deals. Now, the other thing I do is I have co-op going on. So I have 4 farms, or actually 3 farms there now is what I got left. And so we have about 700 acres there. And they're not all together. I got 3 farms spaced out, but then I got co-op. So people buy by me and they get on the same programs. Not, you know, I can't make them, but most people do. They're like, oh, okay, you're not shooting that deer. I share anybody that's on that co-op, I share every camera. Anything they want, I share. I tell them, but, you know, we're not shooting stickers. You know, he's a 170. I just passed him at 12 yards. They're on board. But to me, that is one that, especially like y'all, you're in Pennsylvania, you're coming to Kansas. Yeah, there's big deer there, but don't fall into one of them places where they don't ever let you inside because you're an out-of-stater. If that makes sense. You ever been to a place like that?
Oh yeah.
Those are scary places.
Yes.
Because they're patterning you, knowing you're not there, and they're destroying your properties, that kind of stuff. I mean, I've been a part of some of that. That's awful.
Yeah. No, me too, man. But honestly, my Southern Ohio piece, I had an old farmhouse on there that was in the HUD program. And so when I bought it, I was like, cool, I get an extra $300 a month. It was Meth Head Central. Like I had a tractor there that they tried to break in multiple times, and eventually I was like, that's it. I kicked them out and I ripped the house down. So like I wasn't gonna have there wasn't gonna be squatters there. There wasn't gonna be anybody there. I tore the damn house down. And so, but still today, if I'm out front, like, you know, putting in food plots or mowing or something, every once in a while, Shady Car will come by, flip me off, and, you know, I know they're not happy with me there.
I mean, a big part of our strategy, Jeff, is buying farms where we have a connection. You know what I mean? So it's like most times it's like somebody lives there, or, you know, we've got a couple close connections. Number one, to help us with the farm if we need it, but also
keep an eye on
just
it.
to have a presence there, you know?
Sure.
The neighbor thing is big.
I agree. I mean,
that's huge. Having good neighbors when you're not there.
Well, and that, and, you know, then you got your farmers that you know, because we do a lot of our own stuff, but like my big alfalfa, I'm big alfalfa because it actually makes me money. And, you know, it's just like these machines today, you know, if you plant corn or soybeans, well, they're good for a while, but as soon as they harvest them, I mean, there ain't a freaking soybean or corn,
it's clean.
left. Where my alfalfa, I can get 3-4 cuttings a year, and, you know, it's good up until 2 or 3 frost. And then, you know, I'll have my wheat, my milo, all that I leave up, my soybeans that I plant late, you know, for deer. And so that is kind of my mentality where I kind of found the people up there in this place that I landed in Kansas, where I got farmers that I'm in cahoots with. You know, they're doing my big destination fields. They're checking on things. They're just good guys, if that makes sense.
This podcast has been interesting to go along with, and I mean, just the HUNTR podcast has been interesting to go along with that Illinois purchase. Because, dude, I think, Jeff, was it 10? We had 10 of the neighbors maybe reach out.
Oh, yeah.
Within the first 2-3 weeks of us buying that farm, people heard, you know, and our numbers pretty readily accessible via real estate sites and stuff like that. So, hey, I heard you guys bought that farm and so, and so it was cool. We made a ton of friends like very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the places we stay, Paul, it was a listener of the podcast. That's how he got a hold of us. In fact, one of the places in Southern Ohio, the first 50 I added onto that property, the guy was a listener of the podcast, and he reached out and he said, "Hey, I think I'm your neighbor." I had never met him, you know, and ended up making a relationship, and then those guys wanted to sell, so I bought it, you know, and so like those networks are good. Before I forget, Jeff, just because I don't know how many people are going to be interested in listening to this, but I'm not real familiar with the market for alfalfa, and just ballpark, like what, you don't have to share the exact numbers, but you get multiple cuttings off of that. I mean, is it comparable to like a cash rent for a beans or a corn? Is it more? Is it less? Like what does that look like from a revenue stream?
Well, you guys, it's just going to depend on your dirt. I don't think it'll keep up with your corn and soybeans up there in that good black dirt of Iowa or something like that. But where I'm at, I mean, you know, and it's all going to boil down to your farmer. Right. I mean, we use the word bootleg a lot. That's how we came up with BuckVentures. We bootleg, meaning that we were all doing the cheap routes. Now, if you get a true enough farmer up there, you can get 3 or 4 cuttings, and you know, you're going to start cutting and in the summer and go all the way up into October.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, it just depends, right? There's a couple different ways to do it. If you're in the right place, Jeremy, and you do little squares and you can get in the horse market with no beetles, I'm talking mega money. Especially see back east, they can't even, you can ship alfalfa back east, Mississippi, all that, because they can't grow it there in a sense because of the beetles. You know, beetles will kill a horse.
Yep.
So or the little squares or the big squares alfalfa, you're dealing with horse people. And then you can even go, I ain't doing this in Kansas right now, but I used to do it here in Oklahoma. So you can have it tested for dairy quality, which is what horse people. So you're tapping into a industry. Again, I'm probably talking over my head right now. People could answer this way better than me, but what I do right now, I'm just doing round bales. I got my farmers on it, and I make pretty good money. I mean, I use my alfalfa for destination fields. I mean, you know, summer times you can go out there. I mean, you know, 100 deer on some of these farms, and really, you know, it's fun to watch from afar. And
not to pick the like numbers on you, Jeff, but I mean, is that like you make a couple $100 an acre, more than that, less than that? Like,
gosh, so I probably make on my woolly grass farm, gosh, maybe $10,000-$12,000 a year off alfalfa, and that's I'm just doing thirds with him. So I have, how many acres? We got 20. The one's probably 18 acres, and the other is probably 30.
Okay.
So, you know.
Okay, so like 300, if I'm doing my math right, $300 an acre, give or take.
And you could do better than me. We're not. We should do better than we are. We're kind of my 20 acre one. I mean, it started out 21. It's probably down to. But again, guys, you got to remember, you plant it one time.
I know.
It's gonna cost you to plant it.
Yeah.
But then you're just fertilizing, shooting the grass, you know, killing the grasshoppers off of it every year, and then you got food, man. I mean, it's just like
that's right now
we're sitting here. It's gonna feed them. I mean, and.
Are you farming it, Jeff, or you got somebody farming it for you and paying you that money?
All my big fields, Jared, I farm out. So I get a third, they get 2/3. So my farmers, you know, we're doing all of our little plots. I mean, from 5-acre soybeans, and we're letting those big fields, the big boys, you know, I got a 125 horse tractor, and you get to Kansas and you unload it. It looks like a freaking toy.
Yeah. Nope, that makes sense.
So you're saying your third on 50 acres is like $10,000 to $12,000 on alfalfa?
Probably on a good year. Like I said, I'm in a place too. If you know Kansas at all, we cannot get rain, and you can split that in half real quick.
Oh yeah.
I think we almost bought a farm right there.
Yeah,
we looked at some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just a good option because, to your point, everybody keeps going to the beans and corn, but when those machines come through in September, October, like, there is nothing left on the table. It is gone.
Sure.
Right. And so I've done more alfalfa on, I'd say, smaller scales, 2, 5, 6 acre type areas. And I've done cuttings myself, but those are obviously smaller. But I'm just trying to understand from a crop option, because I do think that there's a lot of people that look at that. So that's just rough
math. That's $200 to $250 an acre.
Yeah.
Plus whatever's left over.
Yep.
It doesn't leave the option of, and that's why Jeff's planting his own grain. It's not like farm's going to leave you any, but
yeah, but that alfalfa is there all year long.
Right. And will they hit that all season?
And my deal, guys, different from where y'all are at maybe, and where I started is, so first of all, alfalfa to me, and y'all could tell me I'm wrong, but alfalfa in North Missouri, Iowa, it's okay as far as what deer like. Mm-hmm. But I'm telling you, in Kansas or Oklahoma, I think it's number one. I think it'll compete with soybeans. And so my deal, when you think through Kansas, if you ever come to Kansas or Oklahoma and buy dirt, when you're in Iowa or Missouri or up in that area, everybody's got crops, right? Yep. I mean, you're not going to plant corn better than the next guy, or beans. I mean, everyone's got them. But when you get up into my country, all of a sudden you can drive around and they got some wheat and this and that, but they ain't got those good crops. So when you put in, I put 7 acres of soybeans in, and then I got a 35 acre alfalfa field, and then I got, these hedge rows, planted, the head feed blocking and making my place secure and then staying off of it. All of a sudden, I believe wholeheartedly that I don't grow a lot of big deer, but I steal those suckers, when those deer start yarding up, and I got the food, and then and then they stay, the big deer stay. And so that's kind of my mentality. Again, I'm not competing like you guys in Illinois, where Joe Blow right down the road, he's got a big soybean field too.
Yeah.
I might have the only alfalfa field for 10 miles.
Yep. No, and see, I think that's a big one. And that's similar, I mean, different dirt, right? But that's similar to what I have in Eastern Kentucky and Southeast Ohio. Like, I'm in, there's cattle country, right? There is no crops around me. So when I plant, like last year in my Kentucky farm, I planted 12 acres of standing beans. Those are the only beans standing for miles around there through the whole season. I think it takes some time for those deer to find that stuff. But I think as those deer start to find that, and they know that every year it becomes a reliable source, I think you become the king of the area, right? I mean, you're the one that's going to be the reliable place for them to come and fill their stomach when hardship comes in. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a big piece of it. And even like right now, I'm sure, I don't know how much rain you guys have had in Kansas, but those alfalfa fields are probably packed full of deer in an evening.
Oh gosh. Yeah. They're jamming. I mean, back in 2006, guys, you can actually go to BuckVentures YouTube, and it's a really cool video. I went up there July 6th. I sat I had a pivot. I had an 80 acre pivot right on the Kansas line. And, I just crawled up above it. I had a little shooting house over that Duramax diesel pivot. And I sat in there that night, and 99 deer came out. This was an hour and a half before dark. There was 2 200s in the field. There was 5 over 170 in the field. There's 2 200s were 5 yards apart. There were 65 bucks in that field. And I did one pan. And that was when I really just sunk in. Now, again, we hadn't been up there. I mean, that's the deal that I think I crippled myself even after that. And I'm getting back to what I used to do is, again, we stayed out there. We weren't up there. I mean, you know, you go in as the farmer and cut the alfalfa, but that's it. Yep. Don't be sneaking around doing nothing. And even, you know, we have a bad tendency. We can't wait to get our cameras out. You know, my deal is always July 4th but heck, we're all to have them out June 15th. And so I'm trying to push that back more and more and just stay out of there. But again, that's the power up in that country of alfalfa. And then again, back to the deal of, don't be sneaking around those properties. The more you can stay out. I mean, we try to keep one big protein feeder going, or we buy a lot of these, y'all know what a big cow feeder is, the big bulk feeders, creep feeders. So, I mean, we had one on that place that was 24,000 pounds.
Holy
we fill it up one time a year.
That's the way to do it.
And I bought it, guys. I bought it for $300. You drive down the road and you see them creep feeders sitting in the same place. You pull into the farmer. Man, I've seen here, there ain't no, you don't want that. It's got holes in it. No, sir, I'd definitely take it off your hands. Well, $300. Go buy you some flashing, some roll flashing, at Lowe's and fix those holes. And then you got you a giant feeder and put it right in the center of your place. And that's what we do a lot, and just stay out of them. But back to your point, I mean, the alfalfa's jamming right now. I didn't have to go plant it.
Yeah.
We didn't even have to go in there. It's just going. Yep. You just roll in there and go, gosh darn, there's deer everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk to us about your feeding strategy a little bit? So you're got a 24,000 pound feeder. What are you filling that with? And do you keep it running all year?
Well, that's a property I don't have. We sold it last year now, but like my Kansas properties, I have, Jared, I use different feeders, but I got a big 4,000 pound feeder, 2 of them on one of my properties, which is 320 right now. And I feed half corn and half, it might be Antler King at times. It might just be that co-op that I go in there and say, hey, what do you got? And I'll mix it. But I do 50-50 to keep it rolling through that deal for
some kind of
things.
Some kind of a protein.
Slides better.
Some kind of a protein.
Yeah,
fetus?
some kind of protein. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Antler King protein, as much protein as I can get, but 50-50 where it'll slide through. I do use some, like Lee and Tiffany got to have those crush feeders where I can feed that and it drops every day. So I feed protein all the way up till, I usually start right in January. I'll feed protein right up until, August, and maybe even almost to September. And then I'll just come off that and just give them the carbohydrates of corn.
And you keep the corn, keep the corn rolling though? All the way through the season?
I do. I mean, I have certain places. I have one 4,000 pound feeder. I mean, my deal is what I challenged us a few years ago is, kind of going, we talked about cell cameras. I challenged us to have a deal where we never have to check our cell cameras. So we would get big car batteries or 4-wheeler batteries. We would, now if you're in the sun, we actually have the solar figured out where we don't have, they will never go dead. And then the other thing is these feeders, some of these 4,000 pound feeders, I can put them on, guys. That's got the deal. It's got the troughs, where it comes out and feeds, but it's got a timer inside of it. So I just don't want to go in very much. I just want these places to be so raw, because, another thing that people get on to me about is feeding corn. But I mean, heck, if you can, it's stupid not to. Yeah. And so obviously for the TV purposes and that kind of stuff, we kill these deer going to alfalfa fields or soybeans or going to a big feeder or coming off of them where you never see it. And the other reason we do that is because, just naturally an animal coming to one of those in daylight is going to be more spooky. Sure. So we're trying to kill those deer in different places.
Yeah. Well, and I'm asking because Jeremy and I both have farms in Ohio, which is a bait state as well. And I mean, we do some, I bought like 20,000 pounds of corn last year, but it's amazing how quickly that goes when you got 10 different spots and we put it out on the ground, and it's more of a defense strategy going into the gun season and, for whatever else we use it for.
I do think the larger feeders centered to the property as kind of, it sounds weird, but like destination feeders versus multiple feeders on, different areas from a hunting.
Well, that's where I'm going is like how effective and I know a lot of guys who are like, yeah, you're an idiot for not doing this, but like I don't have a central feeder that I keep filled all the time. And certainly not with protein, because I'm like, why? The neighbors are going to kill it anyways. They can bait just like I can. So, but I wonder if we're missing out. You know what I mean? If I have an isolated, 60 or 80 or 100 acre piece up here that I think constitutes the bulk of a home range, at least. Am I missing out by not having a core feeder on that?
Well, here's my answer to that. I mean, I think it's kind of going back to what I talked about earlier. I mean, how many times you ever heard somebody say, man, I had this big deer and man, I did all this, and my neighbor kills him every year.
Yep.
Well, when I started thinking through that, talking to my buddies, well, basically what that means is, yeah, you did a lot of work, but you stepped on this deer. Your neighbor's having to work. He can't even get on his property, but he's got his corn feeder going, and then he rolls in and kills him. I mean, a lot of times I would tell you guys this. Those neighbors that got those corn piles, if they ain't doing it right, they're going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going back to me, like, so say I have a 4,000 pound feeder in the center of this property. Don't put your stand over it.
Right.
Put that 4,000 pound feeder behind the biggest cedar tree you can out there. Maybe your stand's back here. Maybe you can even see the cedar tree. You're 120 yards back. But this is what I would tell you, Jeremy and Jared. Every time you go fill that feeder, you go over to where your northeast stand is over here, and you pour out a sack of Big and J or 50 pounds of corn every time. And it might just say you go in there 3 times a year and you pour 50 pounds out in the perfect 20-yard shot from that deer stand. You're 120 yards from that corn feeder. That big buck will come check that. I don't care, every time he comes through. I've seen him do it in a rut. They'll be going chasing doe, and they'll remember where you put that pile a few times, and they'll check that. It might just be a dirt spot then, but they will end up going by there. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a natural deal. Like a lot of times the way I do it, if you can imagine, you're sitting there and you're looking straight, and we hunt a lot of northeast on these cold fronts. So I got deer coming, my bedroom's to the right. I figure kind of where they're going to come right here in front of me. And then I got a feeder back over here 70 yards behind this cedar. Because for one, when I get does on it, I want them hid. I don't want them to be able to see me if I need to scratch my dang ear. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But then I pour out that deal at 20 yards 2 or 3 times a year. And every time that big buck comes out, or a doe, whatever, they're going to stop, they're going to check that, and then they're going to go on. But they're doing it naturally.
Is it, or you think are they associating that, Jeff, with you filling the big feeder? Is that why they're doing that, or?
No, I think they're associating more, Jeremy. It's just a natural deal. It's just a little pile on the ground. Don't ever put a camera over it.
Yeah.
You know, your cameras are on your big feeder, whatever, and you know, you got your big bucks always looking at them because they're sitting there. I mean, because I always explain it this way to me. These big bucks, even at midnight, let's say y'all go in there to your big feeder and it's Saturday and you fix your all feeder up. You're just being the farmer, which I believe in, but you've got some smell on the ground, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've done it. So he comes in at midnight that night. Let's say that Jared messed with the camera, and he didn't have gloves on, whatever, and he done that like we all do. Well, the big buck comes in that night and the wind's blowing from that camera to that pile. I'm going to promise you, he can't relax. God made him. I mean, he's so wild. Even though it's midnight, he's smelling Jared. And so they associate that feeder area with, but that pile that you put over there 100 yards, there ain't been a camera over it. It's just been 2 or 3 times a year. I mean, we just have so much success. For one, you know, we're filming, so we need a good natural look. And the other is, you know, the thing about it is, you guys hunt Ohio, you know how hard it is to hold your breath and go in and hunt a morning by a feeder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, and just, but these little piles that you just put out here and there, and again, you can't put a camera over it because they will react different if you do.
Interesting.
How much of an impact do you think, like, I mean, first of all, I'm in agreement with, you know, everything you're saying there. That's like a strategy that absolutely would work where we're at too. What if you went on a farm and just, you know, I mean, I send you a map later of just an example of like, hey, there's a core area here. It's further away from the neighbors from most stuff here. Not interested in hunting over a feeder. I don't think they'll hit it in daylight, you know, a lot of times like they would just some corn scattered on the ground. How much do you think it's going to impact the movement on that farm? Do you think, like, so if we've got a farm fairly figured out, you know, I've got good stand locations, I've got a destination grain food source that I've built everything around up until this point. If you go in and put a feeder in the core of a woods, you know, let's just say you have a road in there, like you said, you go in there two times during the season and fill it completely up, and it's just purely there to keep deer in that area. Do you think that that's going to drastically impact like the movement on the farm?
Well, I mean, I think this. I mean, like my 24,000 pound feeder. I mean, probably when you're thinking about your farm and you're at 5:30 in the morning drinking coffee and you are making your final decisions, you have in mind that my deer are on the bean field, my deer are on the alfalfa field, right? You know, and then they're going to migrate back. So the 24,000 pound feeder at the Wallahatchie, we use that every day, and it was a huge impact. We had a rule that you could not hunt over it. And so what they would do, the deer would come off the alfalfa field, then they'd go to that big white 24,000 pound feeder, and then they'd scatter from there. So yeah, you'll have impact, but it's a good impact. I mean, it's another deal, and especially to do it like you're saying, if you're only in there 2 or 3 times a year, you got that cell camera that'll never go dead. And even guys, what I started doing is making him not have to look at the camera in the eye. So if here's your camera, move it here. You see what I'm saying? So if he's eating, he ain't just having to look that thing in the eye. And then you can monitor them, and you can literally, like the Wallahatchie, we had 400 acres that you couldn't hunt, and you could set on one of them big buttes back over, and you could watch 175-inch deer midday, feel comfortable. And so I truly believe that over time, you can take that Kentucky farm that you bought and you can change the deer's behavior.
Yeah.
Again, it's not overnight, but all of a sudden, a mama that's nervous, what's going to happen to the baby?
Yeah, going to get nervous too.
But the more that you can have a feeder like that in there, and they can just eat anytime they want, they're safe, you're keeping them out of harm's way because they got it there. And over time, 2 or 3 years, this doe that was hatched 3 years ago, well, she ain't never had much to run into.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I believe you can change your deer herd.
Yeah.
I truly do. I mean, it's got to be. We can change anything. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I think you can change it. And again, you might be thinking, well, I don't want them just hitting the timber down there and I'm not going to get a shot at them. Well, they're going to move around. They're going to go to different things or whatever. But yeah, you give them a safe place. And I'll tell you this, you'll pick up a lot of sheds.
Well, what that means to me maybe is like maybe you're better off to put that feeder closer to, like, the closer it is to a destination food source, the less impact it's going to have on like a movement
overall move, because they're already there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, this kind of ties back. So Jeff, a couple weeks ago, I guess now a couple months ago, Jared and I were talking about, you know, how some of these deer, you know, disappear, and then when they show back up, and in Kentucky especially, I'm finding it directly tied to when the gun season's end in Kentucky and guys stop feeding, those deer come back. Like for months, they're married to corn pows. The guys are just out there. They may not be getting shots at them because they're pressuring them, right? But those deer are staged off of bait pows. When the gun seasons end in Kentucky in December and people stop feeding and that feed dries up, all of a sudden those deer come right back to my food plots because they're like, okay, well, they're done feeding. I better go over here because that's where the food is. So it's kind of weird in that you see these, like, essentially they're creating their core area staged off of a bait pow or off of a feeder. The same thing I think would be more as like talking about these destination feeders is, you know, not saying that you shouldn't have a destination food plot in grain field or anything like that, but man, you got a 10,000 pound feeder in the middle of your property. That's a destination food source for quite a bit of time.
And that's what I'm saying. Like in bait states in general, like dude, we're each spending tens of thousands of dollars probably, like across everything on food plots.
Yes.
Right. And I have felt it's like I just can't bring myself not to do it. I'm like, I'm an idiot for not just putting all of this money into central things. But I'm like, that's just not what I want to do. I like planting the stuff. I enjoy that aspect.
I like the aesthetics of it as well. Like I like hunting over a food plot more than I do a feeder.
Well, think about this though, guys, to put it in a different way is think about putting a 4,000, 5,000, whatever feeder, 7,000 like the crush feeders, whatever, and you got it located in the center of your farm. So it's not out, you know, you got the destination field, they're going to come off it. A lot of them are going to come to this feeder. Let's just say it's Halloween. you got a cold front coming in, and you got a stand set up, let's just say 200 yards through the timber from that feeder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's deer on that feeder.
Yep.
Daylight comes around, you look around, no deer around, and you freaking grab your rattle, your horns. And I mean, probably you're getting pictures of them anyway, sending your cell phone. I mean, that's the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, and then it kind of goes back to that stealing deer because, Jeremy, you're right. These deer are eating but most people, and I won't say most people, a lot of people aren't hunting right.
Sure.
And
most
especially when it comes to feeders, it's the most dangerous place for a deer. And that's going back to these guys saying, well, my deer ain't, I got this big picture of this deer and he didn't daylight all year.
Do it in daylight. Yeah.
I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Dude, that deer daylighted every day.
We got a clip that's rocking right now, that's basically Matt Keith talking about Adam Keith, sorry. Matt dies, what I was saying. Yeah. Adam Keith talking about, that's the land legacy dude, talking about just corn piles basically in general. And you wouldn't believe how many people are like adamant that a big buck will never come to a corn pile in the daylight. And I'm like, you're doing it wrong. Like, believe me, they will. A feeder, maybe not. I don't know, but like, I guarantee you, they will come to a corn pile in the daylight if you do it right.
Yeah, but you think this though? Like, I live in Oklahoma, and I'm having to teach these Okies that because I've made those mistakes. I mean, think about what happens. This guy gets a 175 over. Let's just say it's on the ground. He gets 100. He puts his feeder out or his corn pile out August 1st, 175-inch deer, and he's daylight. Yep. It's August 1st, and then all of a sudden, what happens? September 1st, he's about to lose his velvet. Now it's a different story.
Different deer.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's different. He's a total different mindset. Now he starts to be 10 at night, 3 in the morning.
Yep.
But what happens? October 1st rolls around, and September 25th, it was 75 degrees. September 27th, it was 75 degrees, Well, October 1st, Joe Blow goes, well, I still 75 degrees, but I'm going to go in there and shoot my big deer. I mean, nothing's changed. The deer's been dark every night, but somehow as hunters, we think, well, we're going to go in there. It's opening day. He's going to show up. Mm-hmm. Well, what happens? 30 minutes before dark, you had the wind. Now here comes the first doe family. She's coming to the feeder. And then you get a bad pull of wind, or she's just there long enough, she gets you.
Yeah.
And she starts blowing. Well, your 175-inch deer is laying back there. He knows something's up. Obviously, he's not coming in until 10, 11 o'clock at night. Then he puts it all together, the pressure. And that's the deal where those verbals that we're hearing, well, he didn't daylight all year. Well, yeah, because he knows it's so much danger there.
Yeah.
And he got you from the get-go instead of going, don't go hunt, dude, until you got to change. Why would something change? Wait till October 4th when you can look and the barometer's on the rise and it's a 20-degree drop, then go in there.
Yeah.
And then go kill him or try him,
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, it whether it's bait or not, I mean, the majority of people don't kill big deer because they hunt them wrong, and you educate these deer that are already educated. A 4, 5, 6-year-old buck is already educated, and you go in there and you make a mistake. I mean, it was like, man, it's probably been 6 or 7 years now. I was hunting in Columbus, Ohio, and I was set up. Wind was great, temperature's great. I was hunting a giant buck, a 200-incher. And I happened to look over my shoulder, and I see this probably like mid to high 50s mature deer at about 200 yards directly downwind just staring at me. And if I didn't turn around, I would have never have seen that deer. And that moment, I'm like, how many deer like that have caught me over the years?
Sure.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot. A ton, right? And so, like, until you recognize the fact that, like, your vision is this small area in front of you looking into the wind, everything behind you that can be downwind from you, it has got you pegged.
Yeah.
Well, it just it makes you more aware of your stand locations and how few actually are, like, bulletproof. You talk about dead space and being able to, like, I used to think I had 30 tree stand spots on our farm there in Ohio. I'm down to like 6 or 7 that I think I actually are.
Go back to the bait states. I mean, in a bait state, the average guy is putting out, a corn pile or a feeder. Okay. Where's his stand? It's on that corn pile or feeder, right? That's it. And it's done. Yeah. Game over. Right? Now he's going to kill that dumb 3-year-old or whatever that comes in and like, right. But that mature deer, that big deer is rarely going to get killed. That's why you get those comments of like, well, that deer's never coming in daylight. It's like, he isn't because you've educated
You're hunting
him.
over it. Yeah.
You're hunting over it. That's why that's why he's not doing it. Do it right. And he is going to there. Have no stand there. Don't go back in there.
The thing about it is on a corn pile, there's hardly any way you cannot spook deer, right? You're either going in the morning bumping does or something off of it, or you're getting down in the evening and bumping something.
That's it.
And so every time you're in and out, and that's the strategy that we started using where we're that 100 yards behind over there.
No, that's
where
smart,
we poured out a pile just a few times, but they're going to come by and check it. And then you can actually use that stand way more. And these big bucks, that's the deal. They're not the same. They're not a deer. There's something different. I mean, when you're getting a 5 or 6 year old deal that you're trying to kill, somebody's trying to kill him since he was 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And he's, everybody's grunted to him. They've done this. He's had all these encounters, especially in those bait states. And he's coming to those corn piles. Other than him just being stupid in the rut, you're beat unless you do something different.
Yep. No, that's it, man. I mean, it's funny. It's the, how overstated the obvious things are, but it's these things that aren't obvious because of the way you're hunting. When people don't see the deer doing the deer things, whether it's in person and or on camera, then immediately they're like, well, they don't do that. Well, no, you just never saw them do that. And that's a big difference there. They believe, I mean, there's plenty of guys right now that you could talk to that if there is a camera on a corn pile and that deer does not show up, they're like, yeah, he in there. Well, what if he just walked 15 yards behind that camera to scent check that pile?
Right.
Like I see it. Yeah.
We see it all the time. I mean, I actually run tests like that to see. I just want to put it out on some soybeans or alfalfa and just see. And that happens all the time. And the thing about it is even the different personalities, because see, I like to run, especially when I find a big deer, I want to know his personality. So we run a lot of where we change it from our phone to video just to see who he is.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, once you get that big deer, I mean, like Lucky, he was, I needed to know his personality. And then I've had some where this Ali 200 I shot years ago, you could have freaking hollered at him and he would have came to you. I mean, it's how aggressive he was, but we learned that from the video. And so, I don't know. We've so much stereotyped deer in baiting. I mean, I have people all the time going, well, yeah, if I was using corn, I mean, first of all, corn, it can get you in trouble quick. I see it happen and I use it. I'm telling you, we use how our neighbors do it against them. I mean, because if you just got to do it different than they do. I mean, around here in Oklahoma, your average guy's going to the lake. He's doing this, doing that. And oh, dang, deer season's right around the corner. I'm going to put my corn feeder up September 1st. Well, everybody's doing that.
Yeah.
But if I keep stuff going all year with no pressure and then let them come in and throw, and they'll get some pictures of those deer. But the more they come in and put that pressure, the more it's just going right to that one I'm talking about that's in the center of that farm that I never touch. And I got that camera in there that I never have to go into because it's got the big battery on it or it's got the solar, and we don't have to go. I mean, we got a rule. I'm like, my guys cannot breach certain places on our farms. We do it one time a year and that's shed season and that's it.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Yeah, it's a hard thing to think about, and it's mainly because of, people just think you put a corn pile out and the deer just come to it. Like they're just there. And yeah, sure, there'll be does on it, there'll be fawns on it, there'll be a 1-year-old buck on it, but like the ultimate aspect of how you hunt it and the pressure, I mean, even without the bait, just farms in general. I mean, talk to Mark Drury, Mark's in there putting cameras up and planting food plots, and then he is out of there. Dude, until it's time to kill that deer. He is not on them.
He won't even shed hunt them.
Won't even shed hunt.
He will not go in.
Really?
Ever.
Never.
Dang.
Never. There is zero
Not
presence.
even to hunt them. They don't go on their farms. They get to the downwind side, they plant a big food plot, and that's it.
That's it.
Forever. Maybe they shed hunt before they sell it type of a thing.
That's it. Yeah. Then
they never go in the timber.
Yeah,
they never do the thing.
And I mean, that's a hard thing for most people who, like, you buy a farm, you want to enjoy the farm. Like, I want the kids to go out and shed hunt. Like, we're going to go run and gun turkey.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's the science that it takes. 'Cause these deer don't want to be pressured. They do not want to have human encounters. They just don't.
No.
That's what's great about a lot of those big remote areas of Kansas and Oklahoma is, like, they don't see people. If they do, it's the cattle guy driving, a half mile away.
Jeff, this deer here, this Iowa deer, but I killed this thing in the first 2 hours of the first day. And that sucker just got up on his feet midday. It was like 1 o'clock and just trotted down this field edge and just was hitting a scrape. I'll show you the footage of this thing. It's just like, I couldn't believe that this deer was on his feet in daylight out in the broad open here. I'm just like, there he is, just doing the thing. And that was just purely lack of pressure. November 5th.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about, man. When you see that and they're in that natural making scrapes coming out that deal, and again, back to your butthole puckered. I mean, that is, you just don't get it any better, dude.
That's it, man.
And I mean, that's the dream, right? That's when you close your eyes at night and you're like, that's what you're dreaming about. And
for real.
And even the Mark Drury's and all that is still a dream for them. They work their tail end off. And I mean, they got it down what they do. And that's what I would tell everyone, figure out what it is. I mean, that makes you successful. But I mean, the back to the corn, and I guarantee you Mark and them do it too, but I tell you the power of corn more than anything for me. If I were to roll into one of y'all's farms right now and I knew nothing, the first thing I would do is I would have me 500 pounds of corn, and I would have me 20 cameras, and what I call test piles. And I'm just freaking pouring them out, throwing a camera, pouring them out, pouring a camera. And I'm going to find where he pops. And then that's how I narrow every farm down. I mean, obviously I'm looking at the maps, I'm doing all that, but I just need the inventory.
Yeah.
I just want to know what's there. And that corn is my best way to find him. And then, even to marking them, their food plots, I mean, as tight to bedding as you can get, whether that's however you're hunting. I mean, because I truly believe I shoot more of my giants guys from the day of Kansas Open in September, mid-September, and Oklahoma October 1st up until, like I said, we use like the 25th, October 25th. We want them killed because I believe the fronts are more powerful in September and October.
For sure.
Than they'll ever be throughout the year. And again, that's the most controlled environment I can have. If you're in my co-op and you got property by me, you got just as good a chance, if not better, when it gets, around Halloween.
Yep.
But those ones that I find and I can get him coming, I got a really good chance of being disciplined and hunting him. And again, we use the terms, we don't hunt them. When we get those deer, we don't hunt them. We go kill them. Yep. And that's the deal. We will not hunt until we say, okay, it's time to go in and kill him. Yep. And that's with that front, that's with the barometer up and all that. So, that is our strategy. That's kind of where we've made a living. Now, again, you get in the rut and it seems to me that I'm always in a dogfight during the rut.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I would agree with that. Yeah. I heard you mention that earlier, Jeff, that you were saying like, what is it, like October 25th or 20th is like you got to get the job done prior to that?
That's my goal every year. I mean, is, and it's like I always tell people, I believe this. So, people are like, oh man, I wish it was 10 degrees. Well, my best years, I don't want nothing solid. I don't want no 80. I don't want no 10 degree straight line. I want hot and cold.
Yep.
Hot and cold. I need ups and downs is what I need. And if you give me ups and downs, I believe a hunter, you can go in. Again, back to the deal of you can't use ups and downs if you already put the pressure on that soybean field and they already know you're there, that biggin does. It's that game of, okay, tonight we're going to watch alfalfa from the truck, or we're going to go shoot does over at this other farm, or whatever it might be, and stay in discipline. And I love that part of it. I truly do. Where before I'd be like, well, let's just go hunt. Maybe he'll come in. Well, now my season's, I'm on the wrong side of it because he got me.
Yeah. You learn to feel them too. I mean, again, to use this example and also yours in Iowa, we weren't even supposed to hunt that day. We were rolling in, and we were actually gonna scout that farm that day. We'd never been on it. You know, I've seen a map, but I was like, we need to probably get on there, just do a speed lap and check it out. And as we're getting close, it starts to clear out. You know, it's a low pressure system that's there, and it starts to clear out a little bit. And we start talking. We're like, dude, we need to be in a stand. Probably need to bust a move here. Like, I know we don't know what we're doing, where we're going, but it's right. It's time. And so, and it happened to clear out where I was at a little bit early. So he did the thing the first day, and Jeremy killed his the next evening. Like when that hit that farm, it was a different farm, and it was just like, you couldn't. It was because of the weather. It's why they did that, you know, and we just had to have the wherewithal to see it happening and make the decision to go in and be there for it.
Yeah, because when we left, we talked to a bunch of people in the area, and they're like, "Man, it got tough. It locked down pretty hard."
It was a small window.
As it is normally, and that's the hardest part. I mean, if anybody, and it's not like complaining about it, it's like if anybody asks, like, well, how do you guys like hunt all of these farms effectively? It's like we don't, because if it's good in Illinois, it's about to be good in Ohio, right? So like, you got to roll the device. Roll the device.
It becomes about understanding the DNA of those farms, and you're like, hey, I have the best chance at, this time of the year at that farm. And so you're like, okay, in my mind, I've got a seasonal rotation through these farms. We're back and forth, and then as the weather fronts hit, you hope you get the weather fronts.
Yeah, where's your early season farm that you need to commit to in early October? Where's your rut farm? Where's your late season farm? Right. Because that's how you have to divide it up. Otherwise, there's no way to possibly hunt all of them during the best weather fronts. Yeah, just isn't possible. So,
well, Ohio, I have a 500-acre lease there in Washington County. I shot a 185-inch typical. It's been 5-6 years now, but I've had that lease for over 10 years. And kind of what I would always try to do is be there. I'd leave on Halloween, and I'd have to actually lose a day because it's 17 hours to get there.
Yep.
But I would always try to hunt then, and I would always be late. So we have our strategy in Ohio now. I mean, because I remember I got there hunting that deer, and I get there on November, or I get there that night of Halloween. The next morning, I just get up. I'm kind of getting things ready, and there's an old house there. I was on the farm, and I just loaded my trailer that morning, fixing to put up some stands or something that morning, and I see him chasing a doe, November 1st. Well, anyway, started hunting him that evening. He locked down that night. And I mean, it's crazy. I'm like, freaking, he locked down. And so I didn't kill him till November 10th. I hunted him 10 straight days and just got lucky and finally got an arrow in him. But now my deal in Ohio is, because you're right. I mean, my point is there's only so many good days. Yeah. If it's November, it's November everywhere, right? But I started seeing that our Ohio property over scrapes, especially if you could pick some scrapes out and have some sets where, especially if you can get it to rain, which we do get a lot of rain there, and then them bucks be coming in, opening up them scrapes. So we're killing a lot of deer up there now from like 24th to Halloween.
Oh yeah.
So it's almost like we're getting some bonus days there.
Yep.
Because we're like, okay, Ohio's good here, where it might not be good down here in Oklahoma or Kansas or even Iowa or whatever. You're kind of going through that lockdown, but we've had a lot of success there doing that with that farm.
Dude, I saw my shooter in Ohio lock down on like the 28th.
I remember that.
Saw him down in the bottom. I mean, I would have never seen him if he hadn't stood up and run off some other two. I mean, that's how they revealed themselves. It was like the 28th.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm not far from you, Jeff. So you're in Washington. I'm south and west of you in Meigs. That's where my farm is. And I had some timbering done, so that threw a curveball into it. But my farm's DNA is really starting to show that it's a first 2 weeks of the season farm. Like, even though it's big timber and stuff where I'm at, I've got a lot of bucks summering on my place. And then by the 10th to 14th of October, as I think a lot of that mass starts to fall on the big timber, they just...
I think that is why. I don't think it's because your farm is lacking necessarily. It's just you're in a big timber area.
So they go start hitting acorns everywhere.
When there's food,
they're all over the place. So with that in mind, like this year,
you need a bad acorn year and you'll freaking kill them.
Yeah. Well, or in the first 2 weeks, I'm going to be all over them.
Yeah.
Just anticipating that I'm going to see that kind of spread out again happen. So you just got to understand that.
Farms are hard to change like that. I mean, they're literally, I have that. I mean, sometimes it'll cycle through different deer, because sometimes a certain deer, he just freaking leaves.
Yep.
Or whatever. But again, take advantage of that first 2 weeks. And again, sometimes those farms can be good late too, where it'll roll back around where they coming back in late December. And I know even Ohio goes all the way up into February, but
yep.
Yeah, it's Ohio is, guys, they got more freaking long main beams up there than any other place I know.
Yeah, it's a good one, man. Well, cool, dude. Well, listen, look at that, man. Freaking 2 hours like it was nothing, dud.
I know.
It's funny, man.
For an old guy, right?
We get into these. You didn't even have to pee once. Holy cow. I was going to ask you.
I wasn't going to break first.
I was wondering if Cole was holding a bottle under the desk or something over there.
Yeah. His head bump on the table was.
Oh, no. I hadn't drank much coffee in a little bit.
You know how to manage it. Well, listen, dude, we appreciate you coming on very much this morning and talking. We'll absolutely have to do this again. It was a blast and really, as we get closer to the season, dive into some of this strategy and stuff. But before we let you go, I mean, just for our audience to know, what's the best place to really get on the BuckVentures content now?
Well, guys, man, first of all, I just want to tell y'all I appreciate you it was an honor to even be considered to be on y'all's podcast. You guys are nailing it. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm telling you, truly, it is. As an old guy I've been doing this a long, long time. And, but yeah, I mean, we have it everywhere. We're on Outdoor Channel. We're on Sportsman Channel. We have the show BuckVentures. We also have a show called The Woodsman, which is our pro staff.
Yep.
We are big into our YouTube. We started our YouTube about 1.5 years ago, and it's done pretty well. We do a lot of raw stuff on there. So just BuckVentures YouTube. I mean, we really, what we try to do on there is get things up within a week or two after we shoot it, and sometimes before that. Jeff Danker, I think, is at my Instagram, my Facebook. Obviously BuckVentures is on there. But yeah, just we appreciate all our fans over the years, and we're going to continue to go out here and try to, bring the best footage we can, to find the biggest deer we can, to have fun, to share the gospel everywhere we go. And I just never want to take for granted, guys, what the good Lord's given me. And so I want to pass that on to everyone that'll listen, because I made every mistake under the sun, and not that I don't now, but I'm trying not to, and trying to share what God's taught me.
Awesome, man. Well, no, dude, we appreciate it. It's an honor having you on here. And we just, Jared and I really got into this podcast to have these conversations, just, three like-minded guys sitting down, just shooting the bull. And at the end of it, we're like, holy cow, that was 2 hours.
Right.
It just blows through.
Well, yeah. You guys ever need anything at all, I can help you with anything at all. I'll always be here, I promise you.
HUNTR Podcast is brought to you by Pure Wildlife Blends.
Yeah, buddy. We're doing a lot of food plots this year. It seems like the planning, the preparation, like the coordinating for getting everything, in the ground, is like it just never ends.
Yeah, and I just got off an 18-hour bender where I'm on multiple farms getting everything ready. But this year, fortunately, we've got Pure Wildlife Blends, which is Jeff Sturgis. Who better to partner with for our food plot program than a guy who's got 30 years of experience, been on thousands of farms. I mean, the guy lives and breathes food plots.
Yeah, and so the blends themselves are all handpicked by Jeff, and it's like, man, we've had a lot of conversations with him over the years, and he's been pretty influential in how we set up farms and stuff. And frankly, the product, it's in the name. It's Pure Wildlife Blend. So a lot of these other seeds that you see that are blue and orange and all these things, it's because they're coated with lime and they're dyed, and it's marketing at the end of the day. So we have a lot of confidence in the seeds that Jeff has chose, and that's what we're going to be planting this year. And so right now, you can use code HUNTR10 for 10% off anything on the website.
So if you're looking for switch, clover, brassica, or Jeff's favorite, layer in the rye.
Layer in the rye.
Yep. Check out purewildlifeblends.com. Jeff Danker, everyone.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. Man, those are the conversations where it's like I looked up, I'm like, holy cow, it's been 2 hours, like just nothing, just talking.
It's funny, man. We've been watching Jeff for forever.
We said 24 years that BuckVentures.
Yeah. I mean, way before, since like forever, forever, for me, basically, and
BuckVentures, Major League Bow Hunter. Yeah.
He's one of those guys. I mean, it's really cool, and we've gotten so many of them like through the years as we have conversations with guys like that who are it's like it's an honor for us, to just be able to get to meet them originally, and that they're willing to come on the podcast, and at the end for them to be like, man, it was an honor for us, and I'm like, what are you talking about, man?
No, it's our honor.
Yeah, so it's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's fun, man, and I'm always intrigued by people's like beginnings, and I guess because I'm always trying to see like, is it how I grew up getting into it or how you grew up in it, and like obviously like hearing the rodeo side, and like his dad was a coon hunter, and like they were just like shooting recurves, and it's just like some of those in a story, even like Jeff's, really, they kind of amaze me, because I'm like, I was brought into a deer hunting family. Like I was born into it. Like it's what my dad did, what all my uncles did, what my cousins did. Like that's just what we did as a family. So when I hear, guys like Jeff who are so ate up with it like we are, but they weren't really born into a deer hunting family, it's always like, where was the addiction formed? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm racking my brain for, off the top of my head, I don't know anybody whose dad was like a diehard deer hunter that their son also became a diehard deer hunter. Maybe there was some close affiliation, like even your dad was never like to the level that you are.
No, but I would say he was the most diehard deer hunter in the family.
Was he?
I mean, he was one of the only bow hunters in the family. Yeah. I mean, so he was as close to, now given like he hunted Pennsylvania and permission and public, like just because that's what we had.
Right.
But he was definitely the most dedicated deer hunter in the family. Like during bow season, like everybody was gun hunters, right? Waiting for gun season. And he was a bow hunter. Like I remember as a kid sitting on bleachers at a high school, like just watching the fields and woods and knowing he was like waiting to see his light come out to hear like what he saw.
Was your grandpa a bow hunter?
No.
Yeah. So where did your dad pick it up?
His grandfather.
Your dad's dad.
My dad's grandfather.
Yeah.
So my great grandfather. On his
so just
side.
kind of skipped a generation.
Yeah, and I don't even think it was a bow hunting side. I think that's who got him into hunting. Well, my dad's dad's
there
dad
was bow hunting and your grandpa's.
Yeah,
your dad's grandpa.
No, it was normal hunting. So I think it was
normal hunting.
Yeah. So my dad's dad wasn't really in the picture when he was growing up.
Your dad's dad.
He is now. My grandpa is now, but wasn't when my dad was growing up.
That's your pap from like the camp videos, right?
No, different one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my mom's dad.
Okay.
That side of the family was always very deer hunting oriented. My dad's side of the family was not. And so I think that his when he was doing construction, a guy named Louis Barton was one of the guys that he worked with in construction, and Louis was a big bow hunter. And that is how I think him and my dad started bow hunting together.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's just kind of how it picked up. And that was in the 80s.
Isn't that cool? It seems like there's always, a lot of times, there's like a tight friendship of, like, you can recall back of guys that bow hunted together.
Yeah.
You remember like my uncle and
well,
he and so-and-so.
There weren't many of them.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like you walk into a room and you're like, you bow hunt? Like that's how it was, And not in a weird way now, but like everybody bow hunts.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot more than there ever was.
Lot.
But
yeah. And so it was a weird kind of thing. So like when my dad got me and my younger cousin into bow hunting, like that's because again, nobody else really bow hunted in the family. And now more are because of just natural integrations, crossbows, whatever. But yeah, back then it was like he was the bow hunter.
Huh.
So, but yeah, I mean, he never traveled out of state or anything like that. He just
very
hunted
few people did.
Just hunted Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That was the thing, and mainly hunted around home for bow season. Like he didn't travel to like camp or anything for bow season. He just hunted around home for bow season, and then gun season we would go to deer camp.
Well, it's interesting to hear, you know, even like you said, whatever it was, 24, 25 years ago, Danker running like the
lease thing,
like the lease network type thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, he's been grinding at, you know, the hunting industry basically for a long time,
man. To like get into these positions and to remain in these positions and to make a living, like, yeah, most have to. Like it's
like a pretty good gig he had going there, like 100,000 acres in kind of his control there.
It's a ton.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get creative with it. I mean, that's where the hard work thing pays off. Like, you know, we've said it 100 times probably. It's like, and it's weird for people to think, but multiple revenue streams is what does it. Like just having a diversified revenue portfolio to like have a job, make some side cash. Like that's what it takes to put all of these things together.
Yeah.
Like very few people that I know have job A, and that's how they make all their money to do everything they want to do.
Excavators,
doctors, lawyers,
cops,
firefighters.
Well,
from a time standpoint. Yeah.
Yep.
From a money standpoint, probably not.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's it. Like, it's like, you know, if kids got off from October to January, I would have been a teacher, right? Like teachers get the entire summer off.
Sure.
If that somehow the semesters were different and it was October to January, I'd be a teacher, 100%. Wouldn't even care about the money. It'd be the 3 months off.
Well, and that may have worked, you know, back a while ago, but now it's like, man, it really does, per everything that we generally talk about, is like you need money to acquire the price. So like my uncle is a good example of, he took a job in tool and die basically that afforded him a flexible schedule so that he could bow hunt during the seasons. You know, the guy was like, yeah, you need to take a week off here, a week off there. That's great. But you know, it's not a high paying job either. And so he never got into, you know, buying land, you know, or going out of state or any of that.
And you didn't really have to back then either.
No. And it's yeah. Well,
nobody had the foresight to see what it is now.
Right.
So like, so my dad was the same way. He worked construction. He was basically self-employed. Like they all were, right? They just took construction jobs together. He was like, every morning we went hunting together, then we go to work, and then we go hunting after work. Like that was, and the flexibility was there because it was like, hey, we need to be in a stand at 4 o'clock today. Cool. We'll shut down at 3. It was their business. It was their job. Like you know, so it's, I mean, that time flexibility, I mean, out of anything, it sucks now because we consistently have to say that money is a huge factor in killing big deer. That wasn't the case 20 years ago. Time flexibility is the other thing that kills big deer. When you can be sitting here, and we've done it, look at a schedule, and we're like, dude, Thursday, that front is coming through. Like, we need to film a double today so that we can go and hunt on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's tough, dude. I mean, because it's not just work related either. It's kids related, you know, and it's just one of us. You know, I'm like, that's that's not why we're not haven't had kids, but I'm like, we certainly enjoy that flexibility without them.
Yeah, it's a huge piece of it. Yeah. I mean, it's, yes. Yeah. And at least my kids are getting to the age now where they're semi-functional. Like when they're little, like it's tough because then that's a lot of pressure on your spouse.
Yeah.
You know, when you're like, hey, I'm gone for 2 days.
It'll be interesting to see how that evolves over the next, 5-10 years. If they, you want to bring them on our hunting trips, or, do they have an interest, or how does this all
I don't know.
Kind of shake out, I
mean, they have school, so they're not, I mean, sure, I'll pull them out on some cases, just like my dad did with me, but like they have school and they'll have sports. Like that's the other thing that is massively time consuming. Yeah. Well, even like, this fall, like every Saturday morning from September to mid-October, I had soccer games every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
But
right, you don't hunt mornings in October.
Yeah. And I don't hunt Pennsylvania very much anyways. Like, so if I need to flexibility, I say, hey, I'm going to go hunt Wednesday, Thursday because we have soccer on the weekend. Yeah. So that's what I've done. Like, so from a I like Jeff's priority from a family aspect. I typically will go and do stuff on the weekdays so that I have the weekends with my family.
Well, that's where the flexibility of your work schedule pays off even more. Because I'm not like banking on a weekend. Like, dude, how many times have my weekend plans been foiled? It's like I got to go spray Monday.
Yep.
And it just it's okay.
Yep.
So I'll work.
I went to Ohio
Sunday.
Tuesday. Yeah, and I went to Ohio Tuesday because I knew I was going to spend Easter with the family this weekend.
Dude, it's funny. Weekends, I can't remember. They mean nothing to me.
It's just another day.
It's just another day. It's like,
yeah.
In some ways, it's nice because I know other people are working, so there's that I have that to go on there. But like, it means nothing to me. Like
no. I treat it as another day. If my family wasn't home, I'd be doing the same work day I do on Monday.
Yeah.
That's just how
I do usually.
Yeah, that's just how it is. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's not easy to figure these things out,
and it's not for everybody.
I do go back to the happiness thing. Like, I think both of us, they're stressors, but like both of us are very content with our jobs and
I'm
our
happy.
life. Yeah,
I'm happy.
I want other people to have that experience because we spend a lot of our lives at work. You have to. You don't have a choice. And so, like, I hear way too many people that are just not happy with their job. And I know it's easy for me to say change it. But, like, seriously, think about figuring out how to change it.
Make a change, yeah.
'Cause that affects every other aspect of your life when you're miserable for 80% of your time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah.
So
well, and it's just an integration. You know what I mean? Like working for yourself doesn't mean that like you have more time off. It just means you're always working and you have the ability to ebb and flow with that. So I mean, dude, it is constant, and it's not. I don't feel like I'm working all the time. It's just what you do. It's just your lifestyle.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah, you are like what you do and what you repeat. So I mean, it's like some people think about like, oh, I have to work. I have to go to the gym. I have to like diet. And I'm like, yeah, but that is just who I am.
Yeah,
like that's just what I do. Like it's not like I have to be intentional, but I'm just doing it.
Yeah. No, I know what needs to be done.
And life goes on. And
I think the key to success is figuring out how to be efficient at multitasking.
Yeah.
That to me is like, I mean, at any given time, I'm working on something else as I'm working on something else.
There's only so much of that you can do though.
Oh, I know. But it is a key.
Know your limits. I'm not talking to you.
It is a key. Well, no, but still, it is a key to successful life.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, there's always more than one thing going on at a time.
Yeah.
But what you don't want to be is in the meeting, and I'm having to be like, hey, I'm talking to you. You're like, right.
Yeah. No.
So that's too far.
That's not efficient multitasking. No, unfortunately. But being present and in it as you're also accomplishing other things there's a
passivity to it. Yeah, I mean, it's like, and that comes from systems. If you can set up systems or delegate and to where things are happening, like our ice cream shop is open right now, and there's real estate deals happening right now, and but right now we're on the podcast, and I'm focused on the podcast. I'm answering my phone and stuff.
Yeah,
and so there you go. We've built, and yours is the same thing. You know, I mean, Deer Grow is,
when the gap hits, I'm doing those other things.
That's right. Yeah. And it is cool how you just figure out that dance over time. And
you basically leave yourself with no choice. You got to do it. So
if you want to kill big deer, that's what you got to do.
It's true. So anyways, we appreciate everyone listening to this episode of HUNTR Podcast with Jeff Danker and BuckVentures. Really cool conversation there. And we will catch y'all next week.
Later.
Take me